Alrighty, and welcome to this Valley of the Kings game, Raw Division. Today we've got the King's Court facing up against Kappa Corporation, and I'm joined by Brokazoid and Crouton on production.
How's it going, everyone? Excited for the first game of the season. A bit of ahead of schedule, but it's important to get the season rocking already. I'm excited for this matchup as the first game of the season, as well for the Raw division, our highest level division. I'm excited to see what's going to happen tonight.
I am too. People still getting used to the new meta, the new map, lots of new picks and bans coming out. And right away we're seeing Charon, Susano, and Athena, Vamana, and now Osiris taken away.
Very standard bans, really. Right now we're just starting a new meta, a new format, and this is where some picks from the last season has transferred over, but there are some stronger picks going on, like Vamana in the rank queues, with then reverting the changes that they did to him just made him so much stronger, especially with the addition back of Void Shield into the meta.
Yeah, Vamana definitely a top tier pick right now in solo, but so is Bellona. A lot of these auto attack focused warriors are kind of slipping back in. Also seeing Osiris get banned, he's just really the quintessential lane bully right now. We are going to see the Hachimon hover coming out for this King's Court team, and with the Kukulkan getting locked in second. Pretty standard stuff. I feel like Kukulkan's in a really good place in the meta right now. Seems to be like top 3, top 4 mages.
It really is. Kukulkan has just output so much raw damage. Mid lane is a weird spot right now. A lot of XPL players have mentioned that mages at the moment are not the strongest. That you can see a lot of ADC mates. However, Kukulkan is a different kind of character because due to the new items, how you stack them, he can easily abuse his passive. So I've seen a lot of builds just going Book of Thought Warlock, and you stack those so quickly now that Kukulkan is such a strong character in the mid game and late game.
Very much so. Also one of those characters that's really just annoying to dive, so kind of just reinforces your point about those stacking items being more potent for him. We are going to see Ganesh get locked in. I feel like you can slot Ganesh into so many of these different comps and have it work out, so this just seems like a very safe and dependable choice.
No, it is. Ganesha, if you're really stuck in drafting, don't know much what to pick up around, Ganesha could be a good pick. So depending on how they're looking here, they probably value that the Kappas value that mid lane pick much more. So they want to see how they can counter pick the rest of the map. As they immediately go for the dodgy, I think they just want to shut down this Cuckoo as much as they can, making sure that either their beats are down or he is dying. But with the counter pick, a Nike being locked in.
Yeah, and Nike is like a staple pick for Aztec, so this doesn't surprise me in the slightest. I know that he catches a lot of target bans for this, so it's probably good that he picked it up in the top half of the draft. I do really love the Daji into Kukulkan. Just having that reliable beads burn that you can do from range is always going to be useful. I am interested to see what they target here in the second wave of bans.
I think the King's Court on the right will probably start banning more of the Guardian. Sorry, not Guardian, sorry, mid laners. So let's get away from the Agni, get away from the Baba Yaga, the Hebo, or even in any other mid ADCs, the Metacore, AMC. Even though those gods might seem weird at the moment, they're pretty powerful with the new addition of changes of items. And here we see immediately the Scylla and Morgan Le Fay. As Say said, just get mid laners out, push the Kappa Corporation to start really digging in for those picks.
Yeah, and on the other side, support bans with Ares and Yamoja getting taken away. Both solid choices. Yamoja is in a really interesting place right now with some of these changes. Ares as well. And Ares is another one of those characters, like, just whenever you get a Kukulkan on the team, just another Beads Burner to pair with the Dashi is going to be really lethal. It is interesting seeing the Bake get hovered here. Obviously, we haven't really seen him much in... Yeah, well, especially because the character's, I think, still banned. Although it's been out long enough that maybe it isn't. I'm not
So at the
Okay.
moment, the Baki Kujira is not available for the first week of the season. However,
Mm,
he will be for the second week. So really here, they're just probably hovering to not show too much
Kuzembo.
information, and they're
yeah.
locking the Kappa mascot, the Kuzembo, up for the King's
Which
Court.
they do, and as many people refer to him, that is the poor man's Bake Kujira. No, just kidding. No, that's a great
Tiamat.
pickup here. It's a really solid matchup into Ganesh. A lot of displacement, just kind of an irritating support to play against. We are going to see on the other side Tiamat get locked in. Another character I think that benefits a lot from those stacking item changes, especially with the tablet build, which you see a lot of mid laners going as well.
I like the Tiamat. It helps you transition from that mid game to late game very powerfully, and I think this is what the Kappa Corporation are really looking into. Especially with the Ganesha and Bellona, very good early to mid game gods, allowing that transition. Those characters make it push the team to get to late game. Now this ADC pick is gonna be pretty important here. You know exactly what's diving you except the jungler. So if you're here, you can just go there. You go with the classic Rama being hovered over and probably locked in.
Yeah, and yeah, quintessential hunter in a pretty good place right now with the new meta. I am interested to see what their last jungle pick here is. What I'm assuming would be a jungle pick. And it does
And
look like they're going to hover the Raven and then lock it in.
Ravana's a very straightforward character. Nothing too much. It's very good against the dodgy, being able to dodge the chains part as your combo. So that could be pretty interesting as well. He has a good match against the Tiamat because he can stick to her and chase her down, and Tiamat would just be stuck. I think here the greatest advantage that's gonna happen is that Ravana can easily go for can easily go for a mitigations build or even a hybrid style build, and still do a lot of damage into the jungle. The new addition of Void Shield is so strong on characters like him that this Ravana can run the game if he's allowed to.
Very much so. A lot of early pressure for Robin too, which Daji has a little bit of, but can't really match it in quite the same way. I think what I'm looking at here is I'm really curious to see how this solo lane matchup goes, especially how it scales into the late game. But looking at this draft, who do you think has the draft advantage going into game one?
I'm liking the King's Court's draft. In my opinion, I think they have a very well balanced team that each god can carry his own weight and does not need a. I'll be honest, they might not need the support or the combination of other gods. Well, one thing I'm aware of is this Daji here. That it was a very early pick. The only god that doesn't have a CC immunity is this Kokolkin, so that could be the Kappa's plan. But I feel Daji here is in a very interesting spot that we'll see how this gets played in.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. Probably a little early on the Daji pick, but I think given the options, you could do worse. Well, that one's really going to come down to execution. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this goes. Especially like this mid lane matchup, I feel like Kukulkan has a bit more of an advantage going into this, just because Tiamat takes that much longer to get online. And still kind of has a little bit of trouble clearing the wave, even at like levels 3 and 4, which Kukulkan doesn't quite have. So, interested to see how it plays out.
So now I think we're gonna switch soon into gameplay here and see all the new starting builds, starting positionings. I'm excited to really see the first game of the season and the year for the Valley of Kings.
Very much so. And right away, I'm noticing kind of an interesting start here with Rama going into the Mannequin Scepter. I, I can't say that I've seen that recently in my ranked games, but I would love to see how it works out with Hachi going a little bit more of a traditional start here.
Man, I think here Drunk Diplomat maybe just want the early pressure. Just get to lane very quickly, because Mannequin is just gonna allow you to almost clear those buff camps like it's nothing. But again, with the transition to late game, the leather cow is gonna be so much. The leader's cow when you get the upgrade, is gonna be much more powerful than the mannequin's mace. So I think at that point he'll probably sell that mannequin's mace and go a soul wrench build.
I would imagine so. That would be the sensible strategy at this point. But yeah, as this is getting underway, there's not too much to discuss here. The start seems pretty standard based on, you know, what the new map kind of dictates people do. It is interesting though, looking at relic choices. I think we've been so conditioned to see Shell as that first relic that seeing the horrific with all of its changes is still a little unfamiliar, but I really love that for both of these supports here. Just a really strong item.
When last season started, season 10, horrific was the best starting item because it just allows you to jump on the enemy ADC and just do a lot of damage. But now with the changes of horrific being not only the attack speed reduction, it's also the Ankh. So now immediately these early pick of heal gods, let's say you're going against an Anubis and Aphrodite support, they just now struggle even more in these team fights in the early game because of the addition of anti-heal.
Right, just combining those together really does make it the quintessential support relic right now. And already quite a lot of aggression going the way of this duo lane with Robin making an early rotation while Daji's still kind of farming the jungle.
This is really playstyle dependent. What are you valuing more? As Daji said, Daji probably wanted to get to level 3 quicker, having access to their full kit to just be able to put pressure in either duo or solo lane, while Ravana probably hoped to get an easy early pick on this Ganesha or Rama. Again, now at the moment we don't know the best starting lineup, especially as a comp setting. So here players are gonna have to show their strategies and their synergy to see what has been more successful for them.
Indeed. Yeah. And
One thing I want to highlight though here is the Nike Bologna matchup. This could be a very interesting one, seeing how each player plays it, because both can be easily lane bullies in their own right. But in a sense, is how that mid game transition is gonna go into who will benefit more. The team comes. The Nike gonna be much more annoying, or is that Bologna with the easy disarm on the Hachiman?
Yeah, that's the question. And that is one kind of nice thing for the Nike in this matchup. She really doesn't need to have autos to successfully clear the wave. So a lot of the advantage Bologna's going to have in lane is completely mitigated by the Nike pickup. Now, you're right. Come late game, Hachiman is going to struggle with that a little bit, but I don't think it'll be too detrimental. Noticing a minor farm difference here with Daji having a little bit of a level advantage over Robin, and I have to wonder if that isn't just because Daji spent more of this time farming as opposed to Robin trying to focus these kills.
And speaking of kills here, we see a skirmish over here on the other side, purple buff, with a nice steal by the King's Court. It was just a quick poke and battle, but I think it's like answering your question that you mentioned. The idea that was just Daji preferred to immediately go for the farm that was available, get more mid lane wave farm, and that's just the advantage of the XP in Ravana. But gold wise, it's mostly the same. Nothing too much shifts from those different places as Daji.
Early
Level
ult
5
coming
here.
out. We have a solo kill coming out, and I guess answering the question of Nike or Bologna, but Kuzenbo gonna fall in response. Also Spirit of the Nine Winds coming out onto the Daji, gonna miss. And that is probably gonna be it. Not really much that these teams can do here in the mid lane. Yeah, so I guess we answered that question fairly early on. Nike, or pardon me, not Nike, Bologna is gonna optimize or build into the early Phalanx. I would imagine Nike probably going to go for the early Glad Shield. Quite a bit of aggression coming out onto this Tiamat still. Robin continuing the fight, but looks like it's going to quiet down a little bit as we see another kill go into the duo lane with Drunk Diplomat picking up the kill on Reaper.
That's an advantage there of the Mannequin Scepter, and especially like in the very early, because Leather Cows is not gonna heal. It's not gonna give you that much lifesteal. However, just you poking autos and hitting every single hit with mannequins, it is just gonna increase so much damage output that there's Reaper and Dung Ripper, they were the same level, they were the same item spike, but mannequins just giving him the extra push that he needed.
Yeah. Now they are both gonna get their devos on at roughly the same time, so farm-wise, I don't think it gave him a huge advantage, but it's still great to get that early kill. Continuing to see this solo lane scrapping, which, as a solo lane main, I love to see. I prefer having lanes that aren't farm fests, so seeing them just go at it always is more entertaining.
It really is. It's always this. Solo lane has seen a bit of shift in terms of what's strong and what's weak. We had like almost a whole season where mages just dominated the solo lane, but now warriors are fighting. Speaking of fighting over here,
Robin gonna overshoot quite a bit there, but I think this is still gonna clean up the Bellona, yeah. And right on time for the meteor to spawn, so that's gonna be a kill plus the Indra's Scepter going the way of the King's Court. And unfortunately, 2 fairly quick deaths for Bellona here, gonna set her back quite a bit in this matchup.
that's gonna set her up easily here in the transition to the mid game. Nike Glacial is online, so her damage scaling is going to go up at the moment. But it's Bellona. Bellona can easily just power farm as quickly as she wants to. And her advantage is not much besides her damage, is her tankiness and her kit. Like this transition of a fight, this arm is just enough what they need to easily just take the game here. While noticing there's a big deficit in farming that we see here in the mid lane, this Tiamat is just almost a level and a half ahead of this Kukulkan, and they haven't just been farming. I've seen almost no fighting from either of these mid laners.
Yeah, very little in the way of boxing. That sort of makes sense in this matchup, though. Like, if those two are fighting, then I think they're both playing it wrong. But yeah, Tiamat getting a lot of easy, fairly uncontested farm. There really was just one instance of Robin kind of really committing to Tiamat, and since then he's kind of left it quiet. So I would expect us to see more action mid and probably solo as this transitions to the mid game. I am a little concerned about the lack of farm that Kuzenbo has. He's only down 1 level, or at least 1 level to the Ganesh, but and now maybe a level and a half. Quite a bit of aggression coming out into Kukulkan, and he is going to fall to the dodgy damage. Having said that, Kuzenbo is going to get a nice pull into the tower. Ganesh coming out. Really good rotation there, and there's the pull into the tower again, with the slow coming out as well. And will that be a follow-up onto the Ganesh? It will. Double kill for Robin. Yeah, just loving the power of the Kuzenbo there. Getting 2 really great pulls into the tower. Just displacement. One fun thing about the Kuzenbo as well, he can pop the Thorns even when he's getting CC'd. So, just getting that extra little bit of damage reflection off is critical in these fights.
That was a great fight there. A good turnaround for a King's Court. Losing Ryu was pretty big in terms of the farming aspect. However, quick double kill pick for the Kappa for the King's Court to just clean up and maintain the small lead that they're having here. This is where the value of dodgy comes. That if a character doesn't have beats or their beats are down, Dodgy can just instantly put so much pressure, as well as her ultimate, it just does damage. Like, it's just not a CC chain. It's going to do a lot of damage if you hit every single chain.
Absolutely. And now we're seeing another boxing match break out in duo lane, and this time it looks like Hachi's getting a little bit of the better of Drunk Diplomat on the Rama. So... Oh, interesting. And it looks like Hachi actually was able to get it back in sometime in the interval, because he's actually, like, up half an item. Which Rama will probably fix as soon as he backs here, but yeah, lots of fighting in this match, and I am here for it.
No, yeah, something that caught my attention here as the Dodgy teleports in with the Tiamat minion. That was a very interesting play there, but what I want to highlight is this Kuzenbo going the
Yeah.
the shirt tree or the mostly will be a sovereignty. However, we've seen a lot in the rank plays, especially in the new meta with the mythical male being an option here for these aggressive supports. Do you think Kuzenbo's gonna go for that?
The way that he's playing it, I would not be at all surprised to see the mystical male pick up. Oh, wow. A lot of damage coming out onto Daji. I think he might get out here, though, with Peel coming out from this Tiamat and Ganesh. Uh-oh?
Here, the King's Court are trying their best to try to push through these two massive characters, but the Tiamat and the Ganesh are doing their best to just peel off for their Daji, and Daji just escapes perfectly. It was just a big fight of ultimates. However, Beats and Blink being expended by a lot of characters here that really the advantage there, I think Kappa Corporation really got it with just the pressure that they're having right now. Ryu still has his beads up. Not sure if they were down during that fight and Daji missed the chains, or no, or it was just not enough damage at the moment. However, I'm liking how Kappa Corporation are just pushing with their character advantages and just the farm in general. They're, even though they might be just a bit behind on gold, they're farming wise. Everyone has an advantage, minus the Bellona that died twice, and she's even at the moment.
Yeah, she's even. She's done a great job of kind of sticking with it in the face of all of these ganks and just the pressure coming out from the Nike. I would not be surprised to see both Nike and the Kuzenbo pick up Mystical. I think it's so strong of an item right now that it would make sense. I would also not really be surprised to see even an Emperor's Armor coming out. A lot of aggression coming in under the Nike, and she does not have ult, so that is going to be a kill, going the way of Dashi here, and on the killing spree.
The bleed damage that Daji did in the moment just was so strong, but it was just unfortunate that Aztec just really wanted this totem and ulted for it, which in any case, if you're super tanky with two physical items, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that, but expending your ultimate and not trying to force a fight onto this Bellona, which was almost a quarter down, just basically secured your death with a great Daji rotation.
A great Daji rotation through an area that Aztec did not have warded. Because he had a high ward, or he had a high ward on Bellona's side of the jungle. He didn't have a low ward on his, so Daji kind of luckily finding the gap in the defenses there. But Chaos is going to secure the first Stygian, even with that recent loss, and they are going to make a pivot to Gold Fury, and I love this call. They definitely have the secure advantage, and they've got the vision advantage right now.
Yeah, man, trying to rotate here, but
too late.
Yeah, Spirit of the Nine Blessings is just enough to confirm it, and then even Rama had to expend his ultimate. That's really good. That's great for the King's Court. That was a great quick call, quick rotation. I think the one thing that maybe might have shouted out that they were doing it was the Nike rotation. After a beacon fight like that, I think the Kappa shouldn't left the pressure and just backed. And they got punished for that. However, here, an interesting scrapping here in duo side. Who's gonna take the win? Rama is just pelting Hachiman with autos.
Pelting it with autos and like nothing in response, which is such an interesting choice here. You'd think that there would be a bait, but there's like nobody in position to follow up on this, which is really interesting. Kuzenbo now rotating, but at this point the fight, there's really not much to get here because Rama can still make a dash to the tower. It is worth noting. Yeah.
No, I was gonna give a notice here is that I'm not, even though the Robin is 3-0 at the moment, I've seen much more of counter rotation versus pressure with this Robin, and I'm liking this style.
Yeah, it's really working out well for them. And we see another early objective call with King's Court going for this Pyro, which they're gonna secure really quickly. Another thing worth noting here, Aztec is elected to upgrade his teleport all the way really early, which is going to improve his rotations even without the little teleporting portal on solo and duo side. So I would expect them to be making more of these rotations for these early objective calls as the game goes on.
And I think that's the interesting thing about the new season 11, bringing teleporters into this match. As interesting as they are the biggest warning point because you hear that sound from across the map as Dodgy trying to fight this Cuckoo here. Cuckoo does have beats to get out of the way, but Dodgy was unfortunately just alone to try to get that kill.
Right. Yeah, we have entered that not quite awkward mid-game stage, but the stage where one team fight can really start to affect, can really swing the game one way or the other in terms of gold. I keep expecting to see more attention paid to this duo side, and I'm just not seeing it. But it does look like Daji's finally making a rotation over here, as Hachi secures the Indra's Scepter. But Hachi might get caught out a little bit here. I hate giving the caster's curse, but he is just gonna fall, and that'll be 4 kills for Daji. So
hey, you wanted pressure in the dueling, you got it.
I got it. Yeah, I love it when that happens. It's like they heard me. And is it possible for us to look at Ward's place? Because I feel like there's gonna be a disparity. Yeah, that I don't love that. I feel like if you're going to be pushed up that far as a hunter, you should at least have either high or low warded, but to have neither just seems careless. So both bastions are going to fall there, probably this tier 1 tower. Oh, I guess Robin's going to make a play for it. That's interesting.
Robin has the damage and the items to try to take this 2v1. Though the one thing that, again, is going to be that Executioner and the Mannequin Scepter from the Jungler map, but just as production is highlighting, this is what I mentioned in the picks during the last picks and bans. Going into this tanky variation of a hybrid with Void Shield is so much stronger. It doesn't give power like it used to, but just the physical protection reduction. And you see Ravana is just chunking his Tiamat here. Forced to use Aegis, and Ravana is just walking out like it's nothing.
Walking out like it's nothing, yeah, just doing Robin things. Now, unfortunately, that is going to be Daji ult expended on a CC immune Robin, and not going to target the Kuzenbo at all, which is interesting. And a Kuzenbo, interestingly enough, has picked up the Thorns at this point, which I know that the Thorns changes have been somewhat unpopular. How do you feel about picking that up on Kuzenbo at this stage?
I think it synergizes with the kit still, with the damage reflection and the anti-heal. And the mitigations is pretty strong, but my big worry with the Dodgy in the game is that Kuzenbo might be very tanky, but a well-placed ultimate with just Hachiman crit, with Rama autos, it could just melt this character. So I think it's gonna be pretty dangerous. As you see here, a fight for the Gold Fury.
Ooh. Ganesh falling very low. And Nike just doing barrier things, which is always kind of funny to see. But Ganesh ult gonna come out, Nike ult gonna come out, Spirit of the Nine Winds gonna come out. No kills yet, with finally Tiamat falling to the Nike damage. Followed by Bellona, and this should be a quick Gold Fury call. Health bar is just not there for Kappa Corporation to really contest this.
Asinus just pulled the Gold Fury, and his team was there, but he just took so much damage. And then the King's Court just retaliated with a nice counter rotation from Aztec. Nike here has already 3 items online, especially with the upgraded Hard Words glyph. She is super tanky, and she'll get stronger and stronger as the game goes by. Right now, Rama is, I'm pretty sure he's pushing for that Silver Branch bow tech, going from here to Aussie. That will help with Aztec, but as you saw in that fight, barrier things just shut down all the damage, versus when Johnny was in the back, he was getting pelted with every single ability from the King's Court. And I think this game, besides how good both junglers have been with great stat lines, it's gonna depend heavily on the solo laners and how can they synergize with their jungler.
Yeah, and right now it looks like Nike's kind of getting the better of that matchup. Both Nike and Kuzenbo did end up optimizing for the Mystical Mail, which obviously in a great place right now, and just being able to create that much space. Bellona has opted to get the Kin size, which is not a bad choice, but it did come at the cost of getting magical defense early, and I feel like Kukulkan kind of ripped through the Bellona a little bit in that last fight.
It's the new style of Bellona, you know? You're so tanky, you can easily CC away your opponents that if you're going this kin size, it just allows you to do more damage. Speaking of damage, Ravana trying
Oh
to get
man,
the hands on his Daji, but Daji can easily just teleport away to the safety net of Diplomat.
very much so. I'm also noticing here, Daji opted to go for the Aegis over the Blink, which is certainly an interesting choice. It kind of makes sense into the Kukulkan, but at the same time, I wonder if having the extra initiation wouldn't be more helpful. Kuzenbo is going to aggress quite heavily onto the Ganesh, and they are going to take that tier 1 tower in the mid.
And speaking of aggression, Kusembo going for the Spartan flag. The Spirit of Nine Winds going on, barely misses on the Tiamat. Daji in the air, Dharmic Pillars. This is lights out, probably lights out here for Ryu. Ryu is down, and the follow-up here, trying to get something, but I don't think it's possible. With Ravana is going in and getting the Tiamat.
Ravana finishing off Tiamat. Still a lot of fighting in this backline. Rama, excuse me, gonna finish off Hachi. And Bologna is just still going, but is also going to get finished off by Robin. So a 2-for-2 exchange overall. I think that still favors the King's Court, though.
Oh no, the King's Court love this fight right here, because even though it was a 2-for-2, Reaper and Ryu have already been down this whole fight. They've just been constantly being down, and the good picks were hit for the Koopa. One thing that my concern is now is Diplomat finally hit level 20. Interesting to see if he actually is gonna upgrade to Mannequin Mace, or he's gonna go shift to a different item.
Yeah, I am curious to see how that goes, because he could plausibly do either one. I do kind of hope it's the Silver Branch. I feel like that's just gonna make the Shred that much better, but I could see either one of these being viable, especially as we transition more to looking at these Fire Giant fights.
I like Wingman again. Spartan Flag with Wingman Ghost. That's gonna be so powerful. The moment you lock someone in, or even just hit them with your Koopa, with your Kappa, is gonna be just enough to increase the power output from your Ravana that's going this hybrid build. So I think they're playing to their strengths and just itemizing to support each other. With not only that, the Mystical Mill and the Binding, this Kuzenbo just wants to hit 20k damage before the end of the game.
At least 20k damage. No matter how many times people play Kuzenbo support, really what they're saying is they want to play Kuzenbo damage. That's just the subtext there. Interesting little fight going on here. We are going to see Aztec rotate in somewhere to this fight.
We see Robin Snipes hitting the Kukulkan. A very split fight at the moment. We're just seeing like two different going here, but Daji in the air has 2 in the chains, but Kukulkan is just free to just spit out anything that he needs to. Spirit of Nine Winds goes off and gets Diplomat on the fadeaway. Tiamat is down, going down, and that's 2 for the King's Court. And Ganesha gonna be the 3rd one to fall here. Sprint be expended, but that's just a waste of a sprint. And the Kappa Corporation that had an interesting initiation just falls here.
I don't understand what the logic was there. That was way too split. Aztec did a great job of kind of dividing that fight and separating 2 from the rest of the group, and separating the 2 with the most follow-up from all the CC that the Ganesh was putting out. So I would not be surprised at all to see this be, and it looks like they are in fact going to go for a Fire Giant here, which is the correct play. Bologna and Daji are going to have a really difficult time contesting this on their own. Even with the secure of the Kukulkan being down for a few more seconds. Oh, I guess it's just now coming back up, so that point is invalid. Interesting to see how they play this here.
Right here, the King's Court just have a complete mana advantage. Daji and Bologna, however, could be annoying. They could just easily go for the backline, but it's a 5v2 here. Daji, unfortunately, falls and Aztec gets the shutdown. And just Bologna and Ravana can just run at these 2, while the rest of the team just takes care of the Fire Giant.
Yeah, and that's all it takes. Kukulkan a little early on the ult, but it doesn't
But Kappa Corporation steals it with the snipes.
Incredible.
That ultimate was too early. Now Bologna jumping to the backline. Kukulkan low, trying to peel out the best they can, but Bologna is chasing as much as she can here. Nike ultimate expended is weak now. This could be dangerous for the team as Bologna is doing their best to chase down Kuzenbo, peeling off everything that he can, but Kuzenbo might fall here, and Kuzenbo does fall. This is just incredible, the switch of a fight here, but Reaper coming in hot. Ryu kills the Johnny Quasar, and now again a turnaround for the King's Court. This is just going crazy.
This is so bizarre. I don't know. Just the Kukulkan ult being early by like half a second really did just cost them everything. And Kukulkan now going into the weird space between, I guess, to get the alternate timeline proc. It's not going to matter because Ganesh is going to live, but oh man, what a messy fight. So with all when all said and done, that's going to be 2 Kappa Corp members with Fire Giant buff still. Yeah, what a bizarre turn.
I think a big issue that occurred here was with the new mechanics of the Fire Giant. If you noticed, Hachiman was outside the circle, so he couldn't auto it as he normally would due to the pressure from Bologna and Daji. So the Fire Giant was actually healing a lot more. So this, even though I think Ryu timed his Spirit of the Nine Wings perfectly, I think he just healed just barely enough for the Rama to steal it with his snipes.
Yeah, excellent point there, and probably something that's good to point out for viewers who might not have known all of the changes from last season to this one. So, what the real question now is, King's Court has got about a 6k gold lead. And it looks like their Kappa's going to look for this Pyro and probably get it uncontested, basically. What do you do if you're Kappa to make the best advantage of this FG?
The good thing that you have here is your Tiamat has the Fire Giant buff, as well as your Ganesh. So Ganesh as your front line could be a good advantage that you could bring in to try to take down these towers and get some more farm. Daji, even though Daji has 1 death, has been playing this matchup incredibly. Daji has had the opportunity to easily get in, get out. Only falls down at the end because there's 5 of you on you with no ultimate. That's gonna happen. But my main concern is the Bologna. Bologna is fully kitted, has only Levinson the last item with the new Hero's Axe, if I'm correct here. Upgraded. But again, sorry, Axe of Animosity. Axe of Animosity now. It's the moment Kuzenbo locks her down, I think she's just dead in the waters. And that's what I'm worried about this Bologna build.
Yeah, just not quite as tanky, and it's not stopping the King's Court from aggressing quite heavily here. Daji, forced to ult fairly early in the fight, is going to get the Hachiman beads, but is going to get, and forced to use her own beads. Spirit of the Nine Winds going to come out, going to be just off the mark. Daji doing everything she can to get out of this fight, but there are some low health bars, and Robin is actually going to fall in exchange for the Bologna falling. So 1 for 1 here.
And this is where I think a miscommunication occurred, that both teams is split up here. Kukulkan trying to dodge the snipes, and Drunk Diplomat hits 2 out of 3, and that's just enough to lock him down. Aztec teleporting in, trying to help out defend here this tower if he can, but the perfect Ganesh silence is stopping Nike from trying to peel off here. Kuzenbo doing his best here to lock on the Rama. Rama is low, Hachiman dashes in. Hachiman does fall, but gets the Rama in tow. Daji is back into the fight. Ultimate half cooldown. I think at this point that you lost the Fire Giant buff. However, they get a tower and some good shutdowns. So I think the Kappa Corporation are slightly getting their foot back into the game.
Very much so. They were able to cut about 2.5k gold lead off of the deficit that they were facing. Taking out both the Kukulkan and the Hachi really shuts down the progress that King's Court can make in the next few seconds. And we do finally have an answer to that question, because Drunk Diplomat did in fact buy the Mannequin's Mace upgrade, and is now looking to itemize into Odysseus Bow. So the shred on that is going to be quite incredible when it comes to these team fights.
Production, can you hover over the Mannequin Mace real quick here? Because I know besides the protections here, there we go. An extra 60%, but having attack speed slow by 10. That could be an interesting approach here against Ravana, that even though Ravana is ability based, his auto attack chains are part of his damage output, so that could actually be a great peel appeal material for him. Still, not the biggest fan of Mannequin Mace, but we'll see how that goes here. Nike has their Sundering Axe. Everyone basically has their upgraded items at the moment. What I'm seeing is the lack of spectral armor from the Kappa Corporation, as we see Reaper almost finishing the Deathbringer in the last slot.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that as well. Hachiman can absolutely snipe people with the Eagle Shot, or Eagle Eye. And not having Spectral seems a little odd, but I guess Ganesh still has one item slot, so could slot it in there without too much difficulty. Reaper is going to finish that Deathbringer. Not upgraded yet, but still going to be swinging for some damage here. EFG has spawned, and we're well into the single team fight decides a game territory, so I'm very interested to see how these teams posture at this point.
This is where one mistake can just easily ruin the game. If Kappa Corporation falls here with how low the towers are, it will probably be just guaranteed game. So the Kappa Corporation have to play this fight perfectly and not risk too much here. I'm liking here the compassion build on the Ganesha to try to peel off the damage that is going to occur. But I'm worried here about the positioning of Bellona here. Bellona is just like very front forward.
Oh, really committing.
9 wings, not hitting anything, but Ravana going in hot. Rama escapes narrowly into the air, but this is a defensive one as the tornado on his feet here, and Rama with no Aegis is gonna fall down to the tick damage of Ryu. Daji pulls in 3, but no follow-up at all. Aegis expended, survives for a bit, but Reaper locks it down, gets the pick on his name, and this is just a free EFG for the King's Court.
It really is, and I don't understand what the logic was there. There's nothing to fight. You shouldn't be fighting over Pyro at that point in the game. Because this just gives you an opportunity for Robin and Nike to back and heal up. Kuzenbo's already done that. Gives them ample time to just go and get this EFG. Tiamat and Ganesh are going to have a difficult time contesting. Ganesh is going to have ult up in a second, but really doesn't have the health bars to do it. So it's kind of the worst of all scenarios here, as Aztec is kind of just able to ride roughshod over these low health bar characters. And Kuzenbo has started the FG.
And Aztec has been the MVP of these fights. He just jumps in and shows pressure, and the other team just has to respect it. And then when that happens, then this is what happens with these split team fights. It looks like that Conmojo is like going in, trying their best to peel off or to push everyone back. But at the same time, Aztec is demanding more presence, so like Daji went in, pulled 3 people in, but no follow from Tiamat because she was running away from this Nike.
Yeah, and at this point, there's really not much that this team can do to the Nike. She's full build, she's got every item that you would want as a tanky solo laner, and just being an absolute menace in these team fights. Tiamat is going to be forced to jump fairly early, and this might be another pick as Ganesh ults, Kuzenbo ults. A lot of pressure put onto the Tiamat. A lot of low health bars here.
Tiamat Aegis was expended here. Daji trying to get something nice here, but Kokoken just throws a tornado onto the chains here, and that forces just Daji to run away. Great Sentinel Zeus there for the damage, and Bellona is going to fall here in a sec. Eagle's ready to just run away. And the Kappa Corporation survived with the lowest of HP, but the King's Court will just take that. That just forces to push back. You get easy farm, and now you can just easily reset for the tower objectives. Rama has the Deathbringer upgraded now, so he's gonna be swinging hard.
Oh, I think Hachi has the upgraded Deathbringer.
Hachi, I apologize, Hachi man.
No, yeah, so that is incredible. It does look like Ganesh is going to optimize or build toward that Spectral now, so it won't matter quite as much. It's still going to hurt for a lot of these squishies. Interesting choice for the Bellona here to optimize toward the Pridwin. I don't know that I love Pridwin on Bellona. I feel like she could probably get more benefit out of a mid Guardian or even a second Spectral.
I think what Johnny's probably thinking is if he's trying to Eagles rally aggressively, having what we call the red shield is gonna be easily a nice addition of damage plus slow attack speed slow onto the enemies. So I think Johnny's trying their best to be as annoying as they can when they land in, so Dodgy can get those last few picks. But unfortunately, it's just not been according to plan. So we'll see how this goes. Right now, the King's Court is easy cleaning up these towers. Ravana can take this 1v1 if he wants to. So Dodgy has to be very careful of how she initiates here.
Yeah, they're going to clean up these last few towers. I kind of want to see them push for a Phoenix. They've got 3 of these Pyro Bombs, which could easily one-tap a Phoenix. And they should have at least like a minute and a half left on this EFG, or thereabouts. So, and it does look like they're going to pivot toward that left tower, and it's just going to fall instantly, probably from a poly shot from the Cuckoo. I just feel like... I just feel like the communication for this Kappa team probably isn't quite on the right page. They seem to be getting split a lot in these fights and not really peeling and prioritizing probably what they should be.
I think here is a lack of initiation. Speaking of which, Spirit of 9 Blessings going in, bombs being dropped. This bird is falling low here, and Nike again being so annoying that it just forces the Rama to go. But King Koopa actually falls here. Wow. And Rama can narrowly escape here with Aztec being so low and about to fall here. They got the bird, but at what cost?
At what cost? Yeah, 2 gonna fall, so that's FG off of 2. The raid boss Aztec falling, which is probably gonna be the biggest impact here. Yeah, I think the early Spirit of the 9 wins really hurt that team fight a lot. It didn't hit anything, it didn't really zone. Kukulkan gonna get chained and might fall here as well from the damage. Alternate timeline gonna proc, but it's only gonna delay things a little bit. And now it's just up to Kuzenbo.
Hachiman is still here, but he just cannot step up. Kuzenbo is super tanky with all of his items, with Prophetic Cloak being fully maxed out, Eldritch Dagger, the Mystical Mail. Like, he can survive all this damage here. He just needs the lure, but Tiamat is just so strong that immediately with that Staff of Meriden just chunks him down.
Very much so. Unfortunately, their own health bars aren't really... they're not high enough to really go for this Pyro right away, and with... Sorry, my cat moved. With respawn timers being what they are, Nike, Robin, and Hachi are all up and available to contest, and all of them are capable of contesting pretty effectively. EFG is going to spawn here in a few seconds, though, and I would expect Kappa Corporation to try and start it immediately.
I'm liking how Kappa Corporation are fighting for their lives into this game. They might be talent 10k down, but they've been playing these team fights a lot more better. They're learning what's working and what's not working. Here, Ganesha ults the backline to stop this Nike. Nike gets Diplomat because I think he was just tanking the EFG so much. And now Ravana about to get this Bellona as well here. That is 2 down for the Kappa Corporation, and that's could easily end the game here because the base is being attacked by the fire minions.
Yeah, they lasted long enough that the fire minions have started to eat through the minions that are spawning on this far side. And I would expect them to get this Pyro and then immediately pivot toward the FG, or at least they should. They've got the health bars for it. Not really equipped to contest it is Kappa Corporation.
No, Kappa Corporation just has to give up the EFG, and that's the sad thing at this moment. Their only steal confirm is probably the Rama Snipes, and that's just not available at the moment. Nike being annoying, but doing the best thing of forcing this Dodgy out of the EFG. Ganesha gonna try to sit it with the pillars here, and the King's Court easily confirm it. And I'm just gonna say something. That Ganesha got hit by the Spirit of 9 Wings. Look at this HP bar. He took nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah, that's incredible.
He did Pridwin Shield, did protect him, but my God, he is still ready for this next fight.
Very much so. And it does look like it's going to be a little bit of a delayed split push here. They are going to get that right-hand Phoenix, but Robin is quite low and is actually going to fall to the... and that... Oh, wow, actually quite a bit of cleanup here. 2 for 2, 2 for 3. Nike is gonna ult, and that might be enough just to get the chase down kill onto this Rama. And it
And
is.
I think this is just game here. Kokolkin is
Yep,
still
that's
alive
game.
here. Fire minions are not here, but you still have minions, but backdoor protections. This is just a clean King's Court fight. That was so messy over there at the right bird. That
Yeah.
Dodgy fell instantly. Koopa survived for so long, as well as Reaper. That was a 4v5. And I think Kappa Corporation wanted to take that fight because they thought they could do it. But unfortunately, the cleanup from Aztec is just too much.
Yeah, Aztec playing the role of raid boss perfectly there. And honestly, it's hard to pick like what the most valuable part of this draft for King's Court was, because I think every character here accomplished something at some stage of the game. I will say special commendation to Wingman goes to the displacement provided by the Kuzenbo absolutely won them a lot of fights. Just the frequent like plucks and pushes getting people back in um, really turned the tide. Obviously, Aztec is going to top out damage charts and probably close to topping out mitigations as well. Um, yeah, he's going to top that out. Or I guess Bologna.
Below not top mitigations, but a quick highlight. It's what I mentioned at the beginning of the draft. The King's Court's picks, I feel that they have a unique value by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense
Agreed.
of each character can easily play to their strengths, and they just contribute to the overall. While the Kappa Corp, they had a good picks, but it felt like they needed a lot of synergy and combinations, which just they didn't have. Bologna had Eagles Rally. That's a great ultimate if you have a team following up on you, not for you to go alone. That Dodgy Pillar was amazing and got great beats, got great pulls, but she had no follow up because Eevee was just being constantly pushed back by Aztec. The Asinus with this Ganesha tried his best to peel off the Nike, but Nike is just a raid boss. And if you don't have your ADC with you, which she instinctively counters ADCs, you're not shredding her. And that thing was the big draft issue
Mm-hmm.
from the Kappa Corp, that they just could not stop Aztec. And when Johnny Quasar jumps in, he just gets melted.
Yeah, I think if I wanted to see an adjustment, okay. I think we're gonna go to a break here. I want to talk briefly about what adjustments you make if you're this Kappa Corp team going into the next game. I feel like probably it's so tough. I feel like the duo lane worked out pretty well, all things considered, and the Tiamat was throwing out the numbers pretty substantially. I think if there's any adjustments to be made, it's probably going to be toward the solo lane, and maybe picking a different jungler in the top half, or delaying that dodgy pick if it's going to come out again.
I
But
agree. I agree. So let's go for a quick break. Let's get our
mhm.
throats very clear, get some water, and everyone go to the bathroom. Get ready for game 2 of Raw Division. King's Court versus the Kappa Corporation.
Alrighty, welcome back to game 2 of this Raw Division set between the King's Court. Excuse me, the King's Court and Kappa Corporation, with the King's Court taking game 1. We talked a little bit at the end about what adjustments need to be made, and it looks like one of those adjustments is being made right away with Kukul Khan getting banned, as well as the Vamana.
Here, King's Court taking the first pick now into this next match. Kappa Corporation probably values the double picks immediately. I think they had a good idea of their first initial picks. I think what really struggled for them was just the team fighting aspect of the game. The King's Court's draft, not just the god itself, but the players, I think is one of the most synergistically, as these players have played with each other for the longest time. So they know how to play together pretty well. I know Koopa, Ryu, and Aztec have been caught in teams years together. So I think it's just their synergy showing up here completely. I'm liking the bans real quick here, the Athena and the Ares. They're just probably trying to target ban here, Wingman Ghost, making sure that he doesn't become too oppressive. But what I'm liking about here is the Nike is still open. King's Court can lock in the Nike if it gets on it's a ban here, and it isn't. So interesting to see what. I'm excited to see what they're gonna pick right here.
I am too. It is interesting to ban out the Bologna. I don't know that the Bologna was effective enough to merit a ban, but I guess it's better than nothing. It is going to be the Mammon making it through in the first slot. Very interesting kind of diversion from what the Raven brings to the table.
Mammon got banned immediately game 1, so I'm excited I'm interested to see why they let her through. But however, here the Kappa Corp decides to just take 2 picks out of the original draft from the King's Court and take the Hachiman and Kusembo.
Yeah, and who can blame them? Because that dual lane did pretty well for the most part. A few missteps here and there, but it will be interesting to see the pivot. Also, the Charon making it through. I think that was also banned in the first round last time. So much different look for Wingman Ghost. They are going to pick up the Nike again, which is smart because the Nike looked great. I'm interested to see here where they go with this.
I'm not a big fan of Charon. I like Charon as a character. He's super fun to play aggressively. But I feel that if you're not a great master with this character and know how to position yourself and peel for your team, you're just a body that people can just ignore. And that's where I do like Wingman's play style from last game. So I'm interested to see how he takes a much more aggressive pick here on the Charon. And now, interesting to pick, they decide to go for the Achilles, a known counter for Nike in the laning phase.
Yeah, I do like that as a better look than the Bologna. Obviously, but they first picked Bologna last time, so there was no real opportunity to counterpick. But this is a much better matchup for them. I am interested to see how that actually shakes out in the lane. We are going to see the Thoth getting banned and Morgan Le Fay. Both solid choices in mid right now. These artillery mages really eating a lot of bans. One thing I will say for Charon, I feel like he does quite well into Kuzenbo, just with that kind of ranged silence. Kind of throws off a lot of what Kuzenbo likes to do.
I'm interested on that point there. With the Thoth and the Morgan ban here, mid lanes getting taken out of the equation here. What do you think is going to get picked up here now? In the mid lane?
It's hard to say. I don't think that we'll see the Tiamat again. I think it worked out fine. I just think there are probably better options. And apparently they agree. Because Tiamat's just going to get straight up banned, followed by the Scylla. So, by my count, that's almost every artillery mage gone. And there's the one that you were looking for in first game. Going to see the Marticarus get locked in, probably for mid.
And this is where, what I mentioned before, the value of this mid ADCs is so strong. Kokolkin is I think Kokolkin is the top mage at the moment. But I think the mid ADCs are so much powerful. But Jamoja being hovered. Is this K? There's no way this
Oh,
Kieran's a mid pick. This is probably a troll. What?
Yemoja.
oh, oh. Okay, I'm back in now. We're so back.
A
Um,
Kieran mid. A Kieran mid or Nike jungle possibly, but this is very interesting here from the King's Court. So we'll see where everything goes here. But just looking at it, Ryu is taking his Kieran mid, is gonna be rushing down Marty Koras.
well, that's a matchup you don't see every day. Now there are some advantages for Charon mid. There's also some strong disadvantages. I think the team fight for this King's Court group is going to be really good. I'm concerned about almost every other aspect, though. I will really be relying on how well the mid 2v2 with jungle and mid goes for each of these sides to kind of determine what the pressure is going to look like. Maman does okay into Hunbats, but not great. And I don't have enough data to talk about Charon versus Marticarus, so I think we'll just have to get in game and see.
I'm interested to see how Kieran plays out in this match. He does a lot of damage just as a guardian. So imagine just you stacking some strong power items, a hybrid build on him. I think that's gonna make him even much more crazier. So one thing that I want to highlight and talk about is how this jungle matchup of Maman Brigitte and Kieran's gonna go. Maman Brigitte and Humbat's gonna go off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think both of them kind of have a middling early game. They're really relying on that ult. Like, Maman's eaten a number of nerfs here. Hunbats is in a pretty decent state. Hunbats probably has the better team fighting ult, but I think if you look at the sum of it, there are more better team fighting ults on the side of the King's Court. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see quite how that shakes out. I also really want the Charon mid to work. I think it's a fun idea, and I wish we saw more of it in comp. So, be looking at that as well. It also does look like Drunk Diplomat has decided to go with the cowl build as opposed to running mannequins again. Which is probably better for the power curve on Hachi. So, interested there.
I wanna see the changes that the Kappa Corporation are going to change here. Because they know what happened game one. They know what was suppressive. Nike is still in the game. So how does your draft, especially with double ADC, is gonna shape up against Nike? So this is where it was this an oversight, or was this a logical draft plan from their team?
I have to think that at least part of that is intentional. So much of Marty's damage is ability based that the auto attack debuffs the auto attack barrier that Nike can throw up doesn't really matter. Like, she'll still be tanky, but Marty's going to be relying on that proc damage coming out from things like Bluestone and the Heart Seeker that I'm sure will appear and other things like that. I do want to talk a little bit about this solo lane matchup because it does look like Achilles has gone toward kind of that end of season 10 build with the Jotun's Rush, which I think is kind of smart actually. Should work out okay for him here.
I think the Jotun's Rush start is pretty strong, especially on a character like Achilles, that you can just increase your damage output immediately at just level 1 and 2. So it's and you have a great advantage versus Nike, easily interrupting her main form of clear. I want to see how this dual lane shapes up now with Jamoja, which was banned game 1. Now Wingman Ghost has a much more team fighting character rather than an aggressive peel god. So we'll see how this shapes up play styles for this team. Howard Kappa Corp, I love their aggressiveness. How easily can they just go in and get a pick? So a complete flop from game 1.
Yeah, they definitely took some lessons to heart from game 1. Quite a bit of aggression coming out onto Hunbats there. Is able to get the leap away. Yeah, they definitely took some lessons, and it seems to be working out well for them so far.
Again, we see here a quick 2v2 in the mid lane. A lot of pressure going around. Dual lane being pushed in by Hachiman and Kuzembo. Right now, that quite expected was going to happen. Ishtar, even though amazing wave clear, you're going to struggle incredibly. On bats, however, probably a rotation onto this Nike that is falling ill. Achilles doing a lot of pressure. Nike is low here. So we'll see if this Hun Bats takes the opportunity. However, Maman Brigitte is counter rotating, but she did step in a ward, so both the Kappa Corp knows that they're coming.
They do. And even with that, Maman's sticking around, just kind of hugging this wall, which is interesting. I don't know that they actually have the mana to really support anything here. And it does look like it's going to be a little bit of a disengage. Having said that, they are going to be able to secure the shield buff, barring a miraculous steal.
We see Han Bats are here easily just taking farm from the Maman Brigitte. That's the biggest weakness of, I think, in this new meta of just staying too long, is that you just lose a lot of farm here. That you're now constantly sharing more, and farm that was always available for junglers is just gone. Nike, nice dodge of the stun rush here, almost pushing him into the tower. Aztec knows his god in and out, so even in his worst matchup, he knows how to play this god.
Very much so, and if he gets pushed into the tower there, that's almost certainly a kill, with Achilles' dash being down, so good situational awareness from both of them there.
Bats does steal the red buff out from the other side. This one Bats has just been power farming. Yes, he's level 4, but the moment he clears these camps on top, he's gonna hit level 5. That could be an immediate gank over towards his Nike or towards dual side. That the lack of beats is pretty strong.
Yeah, I would expect to see that almost immediately. It's such a good ultimate that you basically want to be using it on cooldown. It's really strong. Charon also has his beads down for another few seconds, but the timing's just not going to work out there for any sort of gank.
I'm liking how I would have expected this Charon to be rushed down early in the game, knowing that his damage output doesn't scale as much compared to other characters. However, this Charon is allowed to start free farming here, and I'm scared of this summoning sticks. How strong it's gonna be once Charon is maxed out.
Yeah, that ability does an eye-watering amount of damage, and it pairs really well, I feel like, with the Yemoja ult. Just kind of forcing the fear and keeping them in, and then getting trembled. Just really good synergy of abilities there.
And speaking of fear, Achilles is running away from this Nike. Just with the and we've seen the corner summon sticks almost trying to hit this Achilles, but a bit too late, unfortunately. Achilles does have the Jordans online, so Nike has to be careful here because she could easily fall from this damage here.
She could. She does have the little bit of, with the Indra's Scepter, kind of aids her poke battle a little bit, because she hasn't finished that Glad Shield. But, yeah, and now we see the turnaround. Forced to ult in to get to safety is Achilles, and forced to back again almost immediately.
And that is just horrible for Johnny Quasar. Speaking of horrible, Maman Brigitte being collapsed on here by Marty Koros and Ahonbats, and Maman Brigitte falls for first blood for Asinus over there in her own jungle. I'm not sure if the call was just to let them die, but Ryu and Wingman could just not help her out.
Yeah, and the call has been to contest this red buff again to make sure that Charon can't really get an advantage, and they're gonna do it. Unfortunate news for Charon enjoyers.
And this is what you have to take the advantage of. These weird picks, yes, they just doesn't mean they're bad, but if they don't produce to the plan that you're trying to take them, and Hanbest is doing a great job to just staying in the mid lane, making sure that this Charon does not get any farm, is gonna be so strong. Maman Brigitte, a level and a half from this Hun Bats. This is one of the worst things for a mage jungler, as doesn't matter, immediately goes to Johnny Quasar and gets the pick out of him. And now Johnny just has to go lick his wounds again.
Yeah, just bad news. Bad news in this solo lane matchup. Good news for Mamon, though, kind of making up for the early death there. But that doesn't bode well for solo lane. This seems very reminiscent of last game where there was an early death and then it just kind of snowballed out of control a little bit.
I'm interested to see where does the King's Court decide to shift their focus on. Are they gonna support Aztec and just let them run the game, or are they gonna help Kayron try to climb their way back from the hole that they've been put in by the Sunbats?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like if I were them, I would probably go with Aztec. I think Charon's going to be able to eventually do Charon things regardless of whether or not he has his red buff. They are not really depending. Well, it's tough. Yeah, I would probably choose to play through Aztec. I feel like, based off of previous performance, that the Nike doing well is a pretty huge part of the success. The Charon probably is more of a take it or leave it sort of thing. It's
And
unlikely. Yeah, go ahead.
and speaking of which, in duels and solo side, Brigitte was trying to collapse onto this onto the Quasar and pushes him away. Just like you were mentioning of, let's just get Aztec fed, and push him in. Now here we see again a third rotation for this red buff.
Goodness.
They are not letting Charon get an ounce of power nor farm.
They aren't,
However,
but
oh, good, look at this. A high rotation. Unfortunately, Mama Brigitte does not expect 3 of them in there. The summon sticks is going off there, but unfortunately, Koopa falls. Nike does not have something of Zeus there, and that's just an overplay. While in dual side, Wingman, Ghost, and Ishtar take care of the Drunk Diplomat.
yeah, both ults expended there in duo side, but probably worth it as that's going to be at least both bastions falling, and some decent tower poke. I have to wonder a little bit about the Maman Brigitte build. She hasn't finished the Doom Orb yet, but she has started building into Breastplate, which I guess maybe with 2 early deaths she feels like she needs it, but that's going to hurt her power curve quite a bit.
Doom Orb is a very unique item that the T2 costs so much, as well as then the transition to the tier 3. Doom Orb T2 has almost the entire passive of the Doom Orb plus 60 power. So it's already a great item just as T2. So I think the idea that a lot of mage junglers such as Hebo and Alquan, that when they go to this Doom Orb star, is that they just get a tier 2 as a cheap power spike and immediately try to rush, most of the time a second power item, but in this case when you're going against double AC, a breastplate or spectral can just be slotted in here and you'll be fine.
Yeah, you make a great point about that, for sure. Especially, yeah, on mage junglers in general. Having said that, though, Hunbats is itemizing toward that Hydras, and that's going to mean his autos are swinging just that much harder all the time. Marty's got a great deal of stacks on his Transcendence already. Oh wow, a lot of aggression coming out here.
Summoning sticks being used out into the air by Marikoras, and Kuzembo with the Deathly Spin gets Ryu. 3 ults for 1 pick. Beats expanded from Marikoras. Jamoja has the Omi to just slow him down with Mount Brigitte blinking to the wall. I think it's lights out for Marty, and then a nice follow-up kill by King Koopa. 1 for 1 on the mid lane. That's good for Mount Brigitte to just getting an advantage now on this Hun Bats, even though she's fallen twice already. I'm liking how the King's Guard retaliating over there in the jungle buff. Mount Brigitte is fighting the Hun Bats here. Hun Bats is low, and Hun Bats falls to King Koopa on his own speed buff. However, Mount Brigitte is gonna fall off as well. If over there in the top left there, hopefully we'll see if she survives.
She's got almost no mana. It's going to be a near thing. Yeah, unfortunately, she is going to fall there to Hachi, but that was a great turnaround and is going to set the Hun Bats back quite a bit.
And Drunk Diplomat easily just gets a nice pickup kill there, and then shutdown really gets him a good amount of gold.
Very much so. Now, looking at builds here, it does look like Charon is going to go probably toward that Rod of Tahuti, I would imagine. I guess it could be a Charon's coin, which would be fun and ironic, but Umoja gonna operate or build has already built the Lotus Sickle. A lot of physical defense, and then what looks to be a damage item coming out for Umoja as well.
Jamoja does a lot of damage. I think it's gonna be probably a Chronos Pendant to get that ultimate rushing in, like on account of tankiness, which is pretty dangerous. However, when you're going against Double Fisty, just Sovereignty could just be enough.
Oh, this should be a bait right here. They should ult the Kuzenbo immediately.
We see Ishtar using the ultimate here on Brigitte being in the 1v1, but takes the Fear No Evil. Great Jamoja ultimate to lock in, but Achilles rotating, the summon sticks being used. Kuzenbo, super low HP into the air. There, King Koopa falls by Marty Chorus. And now being a Gold Fury call here when there's almost nothing else to stop it, but it's not enough damage at the moment, but Charon and Jamoja trying their best to just be annoying. However, Achilles is here, execute online. Jordan's Vigor is also active. He's gonna be doing a lot of damage at this point if he's allowed to. Nike jumping in at the moment, taking out poke damage. Humbat's going in hot. Charon has to run away before he gets executed. And the first execute goes into Jamoja. Nike, no Sentinel Zeus executing a double kill there, but Ryu gets Johnny Quasar, but at the cost of his own life. But no, he survives in 1 HP. Kuzenbo does not have the Nene to come get him, and Charon can just run away on his sticks.
He can indeed, and that's really great for Charon to kind of get back into it after kind of a rocky early. They are going to secure Beacon, the first Beacon of the game, so going to start that sieging and get those damage on the towers. It does look like Drunk Diplomat should be able to clean up this tier 1 on the left to match the one that was already taken, his that was already taken. Even with all of that, the gold lead's still only about 2.5k as they pivot toward this gold, and I don't think that King's Court can actually contest this very easily.
However, something going in hot, however, too slow. But again, this is where I was worried about the damage-wise. Like, Summon Sticks is a powerful ultimate, but I think the scaling is going to be lacking. And even though Kuzenbo is the tankiest of characters, it's not compared to like a Spirit of 9 Wings. Then it feels more like a Vulcan turret, which it's annoying, but it's not going to kill you.
Right. I think I'm more concerned about the fact that it's so much slower on the map than the Spirit of the 9 Winds. Both to channel and just to actually arrive. So any of the secure that you need to do with it is just naturally going to be that much slower, and that's going to make it difficult. Good counter take from the King's Court here to get the Pyro.
The King's Court, yes. The King's Court did get the Pyromancer there as a follow-up reward.
No, I got confused for a second because we've got TKC and KC, and I forgot which was which for the briefest of moments, but I'm good now. Worked through it. At this point, Mammon has finished both the Doom Orb and the Breastplate of Valor and is now building towards that next pen item. I would imagine it's going to be a Divine. I guess it could also be a Spear of the Magus, but we are going to see beads get expended for Mammon, as well as the Hun Bat Salt.
That's just unfortunate there that Maman just loses her beats immediately. This Bat's ultimate is gonna come online so quickly now with 30% cooldown, possibly 40 if he has the blue buff, the blue tiki on him. So we'll see how that goes. Can you press N real quick on casting? There you go, thank you. So there, that was just a quick hiccup there in the mini map. But at the moment, what I'm worried about is this grouping that it's just been lacking completely from the King's Court. I feel like they have not grouped properly in a while compared to how it was in game 1. They're just trying to take the tower here, but look over that dual side. Ishtar all alone. She knows they're hiding there. However, is the tower even a deterrent at this point? Kuzenbo just walking in here. Fear No Evil almost coming up, and I think it's just a free tower unless Aztec comes in. Nice ultimate from the Ishtar. Humbats is low. He has to run away, but Kuzenbo, you're stuck in there, buddy.
He is stuck, but he's going to be able to ult away, and with the Pridwin proc, that should be a safe Kuzenbo.
But looking at the other side of the map here, it's the same kind of fight. However, Achilles is actually going to follow here. Johnny Quasar Murdercore's ult being expended. Now, yes, that's a great pick for them. Like at that point, the TKC will take any gold that they can, and that was a great pick on them as well.
Yeah, great pickup for sure. Marty was able to maintain both relics, and he's got max cooldown or close to it on this Marty, so his ult shouldn't be down for too long. Not really any objectives to fight over at this point. I guess you could go for an early fire, but they're really not positioned for it, so... Smart pickup from the King's Court there, cuts the gold lead down a little bit more. We are going to see Ishtar finish up the Kins, Yemoja finishes up the Chronos Pendant, and we see the Mystical Mail coming out again for the Nike. Just such a strong item right now.
Mystical Mail is just that strong item that it allows you to just walk at people while your cooldowns are down and still provide a good amount of damage. Because the biggest thing with when you pick it up in a solo laner is the Mystical Mail is magical damage, and people disregard that it does stack up with your level. Rotation here, they really want to get Aztec here and make sure he falls behind. He does have his tower for safe protection, but I don't think a 3v1 is gonna be enough. The King's Court can't eye this Gold Fury knowing that there's 3 of them over here and right, and I think that could be the call now as they're setting up for it.
Yep.
Teleporter is online for both teams to utilize to rotate immediately over here, but it doesn't mean that the Kappa Corps doesn't know what's happening. Watery Grave used to peel off here. Achilles teleports from the other side of the map. The Summon 6 going in, but that's not going to be enough damage here. Fear no evil onto the Ishtar. She is trying to run away from the stun. The beads being used. Ishtar is going to fall here, but no! Reaper can get a follow-up. Achilles ultimate expended. Interior Marticorus gets the damage. Ryu falls. Now it's a 3-for-1 for the Kappa Corporation. And Mama Brigitte just has to run away and lick her wounds, because now the Kappa Corp can easily melt this Primal Fury.
Very easily. It's hard to break down where exactly things went wrong. I think the spacing was a little bit off, and probably a little bit early on the Yemoja ults. And Kappa Corp is going to secure gold.
Mama Brigitte doing the best they can to get a pick here, but Hachi survives with the lowest HP here. She's trying to pull something, but the stun gets her, and Koopa with no relics just falls. Not sure if she didn't want to beats that, or the beats just came just at the last seconds. This is just going downhill for the King's Court at the moment. They just lost basically a delayed deicide at that point.
Indeed. Delayed deicide and no gold. Yeah, if you're King's Court, I'm trying to think of what the best adjustment is. I think part of it is probably just you grouping up a little bit better before these team fights actually start. I feel like so often they're starting with like 3 people and then having 2 rotate in later, and that's just not working out for them. Kappa Corp is going to rotate to this Pyro, and it looks like it's just Yemoja in position to really contest it.
Here, a Summoning Sticks going in, but
yeah,
that did a good chunk on the Achilles, but I'm worried that this K-Run is not gonna be doing enough damage. And this is where I'm scared of the King's Court. How are they gonna be able to proceed and try to push this? Because at the moment it feels like they just have 4 frontliners.
it really does. The lack of damage is hurting them quite a bit. Having said that, it's only about a 5.5k gold lead. Aztec is getting collapsed on by 4 in the right lane, but he's so tanky. They're going to expend quite a bit. He is going to fall, but that's Hunbat's ult, Kuzenbo ult, Marty ult, all down for it. And they are going to push this tier 1 tower, on the right, as King's Court is pushing up mid and taking out bastions.
But the split push might cost them as a fire giant being called. There's no wards on the map, but it's kind of obvious at this point when you know where they came from. Fire giant already half HP. The summon sticks being used to just be annoying, and at this point, Yemoja trying to take the team away. Mama Brigitte dashes in. Nice stun to peel off. Fierce Rebuke, Panther
Ooh.
Shell being used here. Fear No Evil is down at the moment, but there's just no poke. There's no way they can catch up to this Hun Bats compared to the last game with the Ravana leap. So every time someone leaps away, they're just gone.
Yeah, that's tough too. Ishtar did so much damage in that fight, but there really wasn't because the summon sticks was used so early. There just wasn't good follow-up damage. I think they're gradually approaching a really good engagement here. Like every time they have a fight, they get a little bit closer to an optimum ult usage. So maybe in like 10 minutes time, we'll say that the Charon ult was actually a genius pickup. But yeah, but right now, I think they did what they needed to do. They delayed the Fire Giant getting taken and extended the game, which at this point is what you need. So now this is interesting. A really late Transcendence pickup for the Hun Bats here.
I think with the new changes of stacking items, I think he will stack this Transcendence so much quicker because it scales off of, damage numbers, not of eliminations. So at this point, Bats can just easily stack up this Transcendence in 1 or 2 team fights and just give a value to his teammate. He has to do 350 damage dealt to gods. That's just one will time Fear No Evil.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you make a good point. Should stack that fairly quickly, for sure. Now, as soon as you said there's not much ward coverage, look at that side of the map now. There's a ton of ward coverage where there didn't used to be. Quite a lot of aggression coming out onto the emoji here.
We see here Wingman going again for the Spartan flag. He really wants to ask the Spartan of Hun Bats jumping in, doing damage, but no follow-up at all, and he's not willing to commit there. Well, Brigitte didn't have to use beats, so her beats are going to be ready in the next 50 seconds. For that, the breastplate just showing the work of how tanky she really is. And when she upgrades that, again, the tankiness is going to be showing. As the Kappa Corp going for the gold for double ADC, they're going to melt this immediately before the King's Court knows what's happening or even attempt to do the fire gen. As they're calling it out, they're saying, let's do fire real quick. They don't start the map, but
seems a little late.
It's just too late. Yeah. If you would have started earlier, maybe, but with 2 people eyeing you, it's not gonna be easy, especially with an Achilles that can execute you as you're trying to melt the fire giant. The King's Court going for the Pyromancer, trying to get some free gold in their name. Marticoros has to ult into the air, but Brigitte is stuck in a rock in a hard place. The summon sticks to peel her off, but the Fear No Evil into her dash, and she falls down. Finish being used. Hun Bats does fall. Jungler for jungle here. Nike doing their best to try to get something done here. The Charon is going around. Achilles ults, does not miss. Lands it. Reaper gets Johnny Quasar. Aztec does get the Kappa. But now here is a 2v2 in the back. Charon trying to do something. Nike jumping into this Hachiman. Hachiman using the Aegis to survive here. Now, can Hachi survive this? 1, 2. The Marticoros falls to peel off for the Hachiman and a triple kill for Reaper. This could be a fire giant call if they want to. They do have the damage numbers, but not sure if the HP bars are there.
If they back immediately, they should have time. And it looks like Nike's already backed and is on the way back to fire. Huge fight for Ishtar there. Just absolutely cleaning up on the back end and ensuring that the fight wasn't a total loss. Now, whether or not the death timers are favorable to them remains to be seen. They could get Pyro for free, or they could probably try to get a contested FG. And this is always good to see, Charon getting a red buff. We haven't seen it much this game.
And I like Reaper's style of play here. Like with Ishtar, those spread shots does a lot of damage, especially to squishy characters. But like I mentioned, Hun Bats, Transcendence, fully stacked. That is ready and online. Like we were talking about like 2 minutes ago. Like, is he gonna get that ready? He has it fully stacked. He doesn't. The power of the new stacking changes just changed the whole perspective of how we play this game now, and how now building a Warlock staff last item is not troll because you can deal enough damage in no time.
Indeed.
Right now we see just a basic playing field here. Players trying to level up, trying to get some farm. Nike does not have her Sundering Axe just yet, nor Mount Brigitte with the Seer of the Jungle. So hopefully we do get some of these item upgrades soon enough. But I'm mostly worried that the Kappa Corporation does have item advantages over every single character.
Yeah, man, there's so much to break down here. I'm interested to see how this next FG fight shapes up, given how the last few have. At this point, Charon has max cooldown, which means even if they're not hitting particularly hard, they'll at least be hitting often. Man, just some interesting like shot calling choices throughout this game. Like so many of the calls have been really late, where the vision hasn't really. Wow, a lot of damage coming out. Charon forced to use both beads and Aegis.
Summoning sticks being used here, but combats
Oh,
that
wow.
use almost everything there. Even though Charon used all of his relics, that was still advantageous for him. He got a good ultimate out of team fight immediately. So the King's Court with the healing of Jimoja can try to challenge some of these players in a 4v5 if they want to. Achilles trying to put some pressure on, just doing damage with the Sundering Axe. Again, back into the neutral form. Nike does hit 20, so whenever she gets a chance to back, she gets a massive power upgrade for herself. Here, Reaper probably going for the Deathbringer here to try to pump out some damage with her Gilded Arrow. Not liking the combination of the Kins and the Dominance because you would like to get like that 100% crit rate. However, I think at this point in the game, you just have to play to your advantages and just get the Deathbringer, upgrade it, and you'll do enough damage. Upgrade your Executioner. The shields and the healing just goes incredibly down here, but I'm liking how King's Court start the game. Now, how they're playing this late game feels weird because they're just letting the King's Court catch up.
Yeah, it's a very questionable decision, and I don't quite understand why. Actually, Hunbats is gonna ult onto the Mammon here. Shell coming out, and Hunbats is actually just gonna fall there, unable to finish off Mammon. That's actually a huge drop, as Hachi ult is also expended.
And now the King's Court can push this lead to their advantage. Charon is just rolling his way into the backline. Now we're going here. Kuzenbo is low. Kuzenbo has no dash, no escape. Jimoja goes in. Sentinel of Zeus. Marty is in the air, but I think he's in trouble here. River's Rebuke locks in the Kuzenbo. Phantom Shell has to be used there. Nike being pushed up, and the Kappa Corp actually survived this onslaught of 5v4.
They do. Marty is forced to use beads there, so that might be something to look at when the next team fight goes around, but Achilles steps up and immediately gets shredded. The Ishtar damage is just ridiculous at this point. Even with just the single crit item. A lot of aggression coming out onto Hachi. Summon Stick's gonna come in and...
Mama Brigitte with the dunk on the drunk people mad. A double kill. Now Achilles still has ultimate, but he's gonna fall easily here. However, maybe a follow-up hook, but no. Johnny Quasar falls for Reaper, and now the King's Court, 5-man strong, can get this EFG if they play it properly. 15 seconds until then. Watery Grave is offline, but that doesn't mean that it can be annoying. Right now, Asinus ultimate is online. Hunbats Fear No Evil is used. 2 being hit by it, but no beats. But Hunbats has just been annoying, and that's what you need, because now that this EFG steal is stopped, now it's gonna go back to neutral.
It's gonna go back to neutral, forced to reset here. Really smart heads-up play from Konmojo. Exactly what they needed when a team fight went that poorly for them. I have to wonder a little bit about some of the positioning here. I feel like they keep putting themselves in these corridors where they're getting they're getting stopped by the Yemoja ult, they're getting clipped by the Summon Sticks, as we see Summon Sticks come out again. Just some interesting choices here, and I'm not sure it's necessarily working in their favor. It does look like they're going to be able to secure this beacon, though. Uh,
And Beacon is just gonna do a lot. Look at those tower chunks. They're
yeah.
literally the next Beacon will just double kill towers.
Exactly. It should at least finish off two, maybe leaving that left lane tower with like a sliver of HP.
And
But
Nike using something of Zeus over there in the back, trying to get Marty Chorus. Nike is now put in a rough spot here, but she can easily just walk away from all that damage. She looks like she's going for either a Blackthorn Hammer or a Runeforge, or a Runeforge at the end there for Nike.
yeah,
I want to see how they play around the Nike again. Now with a Sundering Spear being purchased by Johnny Quasar.
yeah. Not the worst idea considering how much shielding there is on the side of the King's Court team. Summon Stick's gonna come out, actually catch this Kuzin Bow and force the Marty ult.
But Fear No Evil goes off. Watery Grid to disrupt here. And Reaper falls, but King Koopa gets a follow up. Maman dodges the execute, goes into the Reaper's Rebuke here to try to escape the damage, but Combat's coming in for the cleanup. It's a 2-for-1 right at the moment. Nike falling, Nike down. Ryu and Ghost have to run away. They're trying their best at the moment, but it's 4 strong with an ADC online. This could possibly be game. Great blink from the Hunbat trying to chase down Kairon. Kairon doing his best, but Ryu falls for Con Mojo. And now I think this could probably be a bird easily and an EFG, but looks like they're trying to reset here maybe. Johnny Quasar dusts out a TP. He'll come in hot. Now Hachiman gonna easily melt this bird. Bomb being used here. Jamoja doing their best to be annoying, but that ain't gonna be enough. And they're thinking of going for game now. 17 8
Wow.
seconds on the nearest respawn. Reaper can stop this. Fear No Evil being used at the moment, but I don't see the damage. Reaper is coming in here. Ultimate gonna be used here at the moment, and then unfortunately the Titan does fall, and the set is tied here. Kappa Corp
Wow.
takes game 2.
What a bizarre team fight to end the game off of. Just fighting over nothing in the mid lane. Uh, yeah, I've got nothing for that. Although I will say, I think the adjustments that need to be made for this coming game are probably pretty obvious ones. I think it was a great idea to try something new with this Charon mid. I think in practice probably should go towards a more traditional mage. I think the lack of ranged damage ended up hurting them. The lack of secure ended up hurting them a little bit. Um, but yeah, really great game too. Really close fought. Definitely some shot calling mistakes on both sides. And both teams kind of did make some minor adjustments between games 1 and 2, but now they're going to have to make some more between games 2 and 3.
I think here the the King's Court the Kairon did not work out. It had some promise at the end of the positioning, but Con Mojo's Fear No Evils were very perfectly placed, and that's what just put a lot of the pressure in. I just felt that the King's Court did not have any poke battle, as Archon Eevee and Drunk Diplomat can just shoot from a distance. It really wasn't. I think this was, in my opinion, I think this was the Kappa Corporation's game to lose, and they didn't lose. They had a rough start, but easily climbed back up. So we're gonna go here for a little quiet break to parch our throats, and we'll be right back for game 3.
Alrighty. Welcome back to the third and final game between the King's Court and Koopa Collective. Kappa Corporation. God damn it.
That's a nice the Koopa Collective. I like that name actually.
Yeah, that can be their for fun name. We
We'll
saw
we'll make the Turtle LLC afterwards. But before
excellent.
that, back in the game here, second pick the King's Court. After that, it was a bit close in the early game, but but still a devastating loss for them. The Kron being banned here, I think that's just more to be annoying for them. And the Kokolkin also banned here. I liked how they follow up with the stopping the Nike in game two. So maybe they're not worried about that ban here at all. So interesting to see what will be the first pick for the Kappa Corp.
Very much so. Also interesting to see the Charon getting banned. After I don't want to say a bad game, but maybe more of a middling one. I think it just didn't quite work out as well as they wanted. Thoth getting banned as well. We've seen that I think every game thus far in some capacity, and then Mammon rounding out the bans for the King's Court.
Johnny Quasar locks in the Hachiman here. For Johnny Quasar, Reaper gets the Hachiman for himself again. This Hachiman has been showing a lot of promise in these team fights. I did not like the Ishtar at the end. It had some great ultimates, don't get me wrong, and was doing a lot of damage. But it just felt that they just struggled in the laning phase, which I think Reaper really enjoys.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just a safe, dependable choice. Itemizes very well, regardless if the build is shred or crit. We are going to see Wingman maybe look to run back that first game Kuzenbo, hovering over it now.
I think Wingman should take this Kuzenbo. Asinus was doing great work with it. And if you let Asinus take this Kuzenbo, it could be dangerous again in this dual lane. So if you take one of those good pieces out, it might balance out. But Reaper decides to go back into this Ishtar. Maybe the second go around will be better. But again, the run back, double ADC, Marty Koros and Hachiman being locked in for the Kappa Corporation. It could just round up a dodge. You could go here now. You can pick now your support if you want to get Nesha. Could be pretty useful. We'll see how the Kappa Corp decide to round out their starting picks. And how the King's Court are gonna try to counterpick this.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they go with here. The Nike is still open. Bologna is still open. Kind of a classic counter to the double ADC with that long disarm. Yeah, there's so many different threads to pull at here. They could go for the okay. I love that.
Asinus with the Fafnir. I like this pick. I love Fafnir every time it gets played because it brings a different. It forces teams to play differently due to his strong ultimate change the course of the fight. Now, King's Court knows basically their biggest threats coming into this fight. What do you think they should be picking up here?
I think that they should look to get. They don't really need to worry. Yeah, that's what I would have gone for. I would have gone for the Bologna before it's tentatively taken by Johnny Quasar. I would go for that. You know what the mid and the duo is going to look like, so getting the solo or the jungle would probably make the most sense. They are going to get rid of Osiris, which he does pretty decent into Bologna. And he's just kind of an irritating character in general. Having said that, yeah, I want to see what the Robin ban as well. Robin had a great first game. Makes a lot of sense to get rid of him here. Does pretty decently into Marty as well.
I'm more worried now that they decide to forego the Nike, which is basically what can stop a double ADC comp, and decide to go for the Bologna instead. Like a very weird switch up from the King's Court, the King's Court. Now with all these jungle bans, the Kappa Corp are gonna start digging to what they want here, but I'm not liking what the Kings are gonna be forced to pick here now. A lot's still open. The Camisots can still be picked. If they want to go something spicy with the
Ooh.
Thor global pressure, that's pretty strong. Pretty strong against the Morticoras, because if you can get the full combo before he even gets into the air, that's gonna be such a strong team fight.
It is. I really like this look for them. Yeah, the semi-global is going to be great. Just a lot of CC, and a lot of survivability, probably more so than Mammon. I kind of like you though. I share your concern about the Bologna getting picked over the Nike. I think Bologna's a great pickup, but Aztecs just had two standout games on Nike, so I don't know why you'd need to pivot away from that. So it could go either way. We are going to see the first appearance of Ratatosker, though, which is like a classic kind of not counter, but response to the Thor. And a Cucullin getting locked in for the solo lane.
Johnny wants his lane pressure. He loves always counter picking, so Cucullin's a great counter pick against Bologna, because you can easily disrupt her clear with just a massive amount of pressure. But this Ra, I love Ryu when he's on these one shot guys. So he wasn't on the first one on the Kukulkan. Kukulkan a bit more mobile and poke wise, but Ra is the same way. Searing Pain could be just what the team needs to easily confirm objectives and to contest all these picks. And I think in the mid 1v1, Ra's gonna have a lot of the advantage because he can easily just self-sustain himself after the poke.
Yeah, the Raw is definitely I like that a lot more. I think it synergizes with what they've got here a lot better. And it provides what they were missing so much in game 2, which was just that ranged damage. Now, as with many of these matchups, it's going to come down to execution, and you have rightly pointed out that Cucullin is quite a good counter into the Bologna, which could nullify a lot of the advantage that I think Aztec has kind of built up over these last couple of games. But we'll have to see. I'm really looking at how well the Ratatosker does into the Thor, and conversely how well Bologna does into the Cucullin. I think that's probably going to decide this game.
I want to see King Koopa get in there, get in the air, and just be so oppressive onto this Morticoras. Do not let this man breathe as much as he can. As well as here in the solo side, if they can get Aztec fed in this Bologna matchup, it could be also pretty strong. So I think Koopa has to take a decision of what values is bigger for the team. Do we need Ryu being fed, or do we need Aztec being fed? Because I'll be honest, Reaper at the early and even mid is gonna struggle to win a 1v1 versus Drunk Diplomat. So this is where the decision making has to go in. Game 1, making sure this Nike was fed was the key aspect of it, because it became a raid boss. So let's see if they can get the same similar success here with the Bologna.
Yeah, anxious to see how that pans out. Now, since it was raised in chat, it might be worth making a note of this as well. There's not, technically speaking, a lot of setup for this Raw, but I'm also not sure that he really needs it here. So they're going to be relying on this Raw a lot for objective secure, and objectives, at least for the most part, are largely stationary. So I think they're going to do okay with that. But, oh man, I'm just looking at the Cucullin's build now. The Bluestone Cucullin with the tier 1 of the male tree is kind of an interesting choice. I kind of wonder if that's going to be a really early mystical male rush.
I want to see Asinus just run down with his little hammer. I think if we're comparing Thor hammer and Fafnir hammer, I think Fafnir's hammer is gonna got a lot of value in this game, especially the disarm. People disregard it sometimes, but it's gonna hurt. And against a double ADC comp, disarms are probably gonna be the key of the game.
I would agree. Yeah, I'm always a fan to see Fafnir. I feel like we don't see him enough, so it's always a treat, especially when he's got two ADCs to work with and not just one. Their objective shred is going to be ridiculous, even though their actual objective secure is a little bit less potent. But right away, Marty getting into the lane and starting to do Marty things.
Well, at the first, I think it's gonna be very boring because
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think both Ryu nor Eevee want to be pushing each other too much. But here we can see a possible scramble here. Thor probably doesn't have his wall just yet, so he can't put that much pressure onto Aratosker. But that doesn't mean he can go over to dual side and try to do that for himself.
Yeah, it's always so interesting to see what junglers decide to do. Obviously, getting a little bit more pressure in the mid, but Thor is going to get a camp pretty much to himself, which is going to be, comparable farm. I just the way that Thor is positioned, though, it seems like he is really going to come. Oh wow, okay. Very early solo kill onto the Cucullin.
And
So even
that's
with
pretty
yeah.
big for Aztec. That's gonna guarantee him a perfect laning phase at this point. Thor, unfortunately, spotted because he basically walked into the lane, but they know here Ratatosker is in this solo side, so Bellona knows that the danger that's happening, but I don't think Conmojo is gonna push this. One thing I love about this new season meta for junglers specifically is now that a lot of the farm that you really want to steal from the side camps is that it's gone. Like the shield buff and the cooldown buff are basically now in such an exposed part of the map as Thor trying to get a nice stun here. Great wall stopping his Hachiman here. Nice dashing by the Ishtar, unfortunately not enough damage. This Fafnir with an amazing hammer of his own stops Kuba from doing a lot more damage.
Yeah, and fighting over the Indra's Scepter, as you do, is going to give it up for the Cucullin. Can't really contest that too heavily without putting yourself in danger. But yeah,
I do like the blue stone there from Cocolin. Because once you get to the corrupted one late game, this Cocolin is going to be so tanky that might be able to survive the scatter shots from the Ishtar. As we see here, a grouping already for the purple buff. However, this is a 4v3 in a few seconds when Marty Koros and Tuskers come in hot.
yeah, kind of an odd rotation. It is going to be
The King's
a little
Court
bit
do
of
steal, but Kuzenbo is in a rough spot at the moment. Body blocks from Metatosker. Does he have his dash? He does. Here, Ross coming in with the nice heals, but oh buddy, you should have not stayed in there. Now, Ross, Searing Pain does not clips the Ratatosker, but it's not enough damage, and Eevee gets a nice pick onto Kuzenbo.
Yeah, I have to wonder if he doesn't keep going there, if he lives, because Raw probably could have supported him a little bit better. But you kind of expect to die as a support in these games, so he probably is okay with that, considering that the Ishtar and Raw both survived. So
Here, this is where again Ryu is getting the farm, and I think that's what he wants. He just wants to try to farm as much as he can as is Raw, so he can just be the carry mode of the team like he did game one. What I want to see more is seeing Aztec out rotate this Johnny Quasar a lot more. Game one and
agreed.
game one and game two, he was teleporting around. He was doing the best to support his team, but I think I want more aggressive rotations rather than counter rotations from Bellona.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think that that's going to be pretty key to the success that they have here. They're going to be relying so much on that disarm to disrupt these team fights. And without really that much happening, and even with an assist, Ishtar has like a level and a half lead, now ticking over to a level lead onto this Hachiman, which is interesting.
Now
Bolts
Bellona forced to run away, but Thor over here trying to damage. Hachiman dashes in with the Eagle Side arrow, and then Thor falls. Where the Tusker is low, but Kuzenbo does not have the damage. Ishtar with no mana here can't really do much to try to support this. Ishtar trying her best to just get something here. Kuzenbo running away, but Hachiman gets the last auto, and that's a 2-4-1. Well, here, Raw coming in hot, but Red Tusker narrowly escapes now. But I don't think Hachiman is gonna have the same things. Searing Pain is gonna go off here, clips the Fafnir, but Hachiman narrowly dodges it. Fafnir is low, but unfortunately not enough damage from Ryu.
Not enough damage from Ryu. Pretty unlucky series of events there for the King's Court, but all things considered, it could have gone worse. What we're really seeing, though, is that Rad is able to exact a lot more early pressure than this Thor has been able to so far. And if King's Court wants to succeed come the mid-game, that's going to have to change. We're going to need to be seeing more of these Anvil of Dawns coming out.
I want to see this Roar getting active. Try to push this as much as they can. But what I'm mostly concerned is that if this Red Tusker keeps doing his counter rotations, he's gonna have the advantage. And this was exactly the King's Court plan in game one with his when they had Ravana. It was always about the counter rotation on this Daji, and they found success. Now it feels like the King's Court are trying to be aggressive, but they are just struggling at it.
Ooh. They are struggling at it, but that's the sort of play that they need to do more of. Just off the mark there, with Marty being lucky enough to get into the sky really quickly.
Or enough mana to run away with an ultimate, so that's good for him. But at this point, those little bits of farm is what the King's Court need. They're only few down by only a few hundred golds, but
yeah.
At the moment, it's just dead neutral. It's complete dead neutral. Even with the Kappa Corp having a 2-kill advantage, XP and gold wise is not much to be worried about.
No, not so much. And that lead is pretty insubstantial at this point. That's like a single kill, couple of kills, a team fight. So it's not really a matter for concern. We do see a lot of damage coming out onto the Kakolan, though, as Aztec looks for another solo kill. Doesn't look like he'll quite be able to get it, though.
Tusker in dual sight in the air lands onto this Ishtar. Nice ultimate to start peel off. Kuzema Wari Great, but then great beats there from Tusker, so he's not knocked up. Now, can Kuzembo catch? But then Koopa, great counter rotation with Ryu, takes down Johnny Quasar. This could be a goal fury call if they want to, but unfortunately, Kanmojo is pretty low.
He's pretty low, and I don't think they quite have the damage with just two of them. If Marty rotated, maybe, but yeah, I think they're just going to do the safer choice and opt to reset here. Yet again, they're paying so much attention to this solo side and trying to just capitalize and get Aztec further ahead. And it's working out for them. Yeah, the Raw, while we have a moment of breathing time, the Raw Marty matchup has been really interesting so far. I think both of them have actually quite strong clear. Having said that, though, bad news has struck, as Raw is just going to get comboed down by the jungle mid.
However, it's just clean pickup there from both Marikoras there. When you're in the air, that's what I hate most about Marikoras. It's just so much damage, and you're uncontested. It's the better Freya ultimate, as I call it here. Fafnir leaping in there, I think is in trouble. No ultimate to his name, but have HP Thor into the air, probably looking for this Fafnir. Now, damage here is mess. Nice stun, nice wall. They just CC chain him, and Asinus falls. Great play there by the King's Court.
Yeah, way to capitalize, and as tanky as Fafnir is, unfortunately he wasn't tanky enough for that. And he does actually have a little bit of a disparity, even though he's only died once with that most recent death. He's still down like a level and a half to this Kuzenbo. And the gold lead really is still, like, it's less than it was before, like only 700 gold or so. Now, the downside of that, they did commit 2 ults to killing him, but at the same time, I guess you take your kills where you can get them. So, could be worse.
Raz with Searing Pain clips the Marikoras. This could be dangerous now for Eevee, but there's just no one to follow up. And the level difference could just be the reason why he survives. Eevee has just been power farming at the moment, and it's just what gave him is this big lead. At the moment, Soul he's building up for a Soul Eater. It looks like so he's gonna start getting some sustained cooldowns. Over in dual side, we see the supports have almost rarely have rotated out of the dual lane. So I'm liking his constant scraps at the moment. And Fafnir is again the annoying factor. He's constantly just walking at the enemy ADC and throwing his hammer in the solo side. Verona ups down, trying to get something. A Thor dunk into the Rat ultimate. Rat can easily re-engage here, but he prefers to run away at the moment. Ra is close by. He's hiding on the corner, trying to see if he can pick someone off into the fight. But unfortunately, Rat can just easily sustain back all the damage and just run away.
Can indeed, and Raw can't really push in here with Marty being so close. Thor is going to rotate toward mid, and there might be an opportunity for a little bit of poke here, but beyond that, there's just going to be so much return damage from Marty, having finished up the Soul Eater now, as you mentioned, and getting that sustained going.
I think what I want to highlight here is how Khan Mojo has switched his gears to be much more of an aggressive, but he's getting much more good follow-up play. Game 1, he struggled so much on the dodge that it wasn't a bad pick, but just no follow-up. Now he has picked up characters that can easily make his own follow-up. Now it's been great rotations onto dual side and to solo side. Even though he has not got enough picks, he sometimes saves his own teammates or forces the enemy team to just fall back, and that gets you the farm that you need.
Excellent point. Another interesting kind of build choice here, now that we've seen the item completed, Bellona going into the early Executioner, which is going to make her boxing so much more effective in these fights. A lot of aggression coming out onto Thor, and he's going to actually have to ult defensively to get out of here.
I think if he's aggressive, he could land in and get a kill, because Syrian Light is online. However, prefers to play the safe game. You're in a game 3. However, that beacon just confirms the destruction of the first tower of the game, and the Kappa Corp are just power farming. That's what we're seeing here at the moment. The lead really is all on this Marty Chorus. So it's still not too far back for the King's Court, but if this Marty gets to his items first over than anyone, he is going to be a massive threat.
Yeah, he's been just pumping out the damage numbers. Maybe not the player damage numbers, but for this game so far. But last game, certainly pumping them out. I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen more action. I guess there have been a number of kills on this duo side, but more the duo side jungle as opposed to the lane. Kind of thought there would be more like actual jungle ganks in here, but I am interested to see.
I think we need to see that from Kappa more. We need him to start showing his global pressure as much as he can. One thing I want to say now, Johnny Quasar's build, Void Shield and Mystical Mail, he's hurting. He is someone to be threatened, but he's right now being threatened here by his Bellona here. Eagle's Rally is still online. He can easily use it, but Aztec doesn't even need it. Just walks out of him and knocks him down. Rat into the air. Ishtar, no dash. Uses the ultimate defensively. Watery Grave doing his the best to peel. Oh, Thor, dunk, hammer, go for it. Aegis onto the Hachiman. Kusembo doing their best to try to get the pick, and King Koopa. And the teleport from Aztec just so strong there. And now Asinus just doesn't have anything else on the pocket, and then a nice four kills in just 2 different fights. And now Marty Chorus is in the middle. Ryu spots him. Can Ryu get the pick here as well? Eevee is still his ultimate. Eevee in the air gets Ryu. Now this could be an easy Gold Fury, but they lost their main damage source. Now Colin going in TP in, trying to be annoying. Respawn times for Kappa Corp are coming up here. But now, again, what I mentioned, Eevee is just so fed at the moment. So much damage onto him. Soul Eater is online now. And he probably has just enough gold to grab the Fail Knot in his run back. Which he does completely.
Yeah, the hyper farm on the Marty is getting a little bit out of control, and even with Thor kind of turning some attention to him, they're going to need to do more to shut the Marty down. I think that's a far greater threat than the Hachiman at this point. Having said that, great rotation by Aztec to the left-hand lane. As same with King Koopa, being able to pick up those kills and kind of equalize the gold and even give themselves a very minuscule lead is huge. Aztec able to pick up a full mystical, so he's just going to be able to match a lot of that Cucullin's pressure right off the bat.
I'm not liking what Wingman Ghost is. He's going for a Chronos Pendant here on the Kuzembo. Kuzembo has high cooldowns, but part of his kit is designed to reduce his cooldowns when he takes damage due to his own personal thorns. However, speaking of personal here, this Thor really wants to fight over there in the solo side, but Ryu is also looking at the Rat's face at the moment. These are two different fights, but however, in the Kappa Corp has the man advantage over here in the left side and gets Ryu, while Cucullin is just trying to rotate to his team for backup at the moment.
Yeah, I don't quite know what the where the breakdown was for Raw there. It felt like just a little bit too far forward with not enough vision. Aztec doing his best to 1v2, really getting quite a lot done as Cucullin pops Thorns.
Eagles rally, Thor hammer dunk, Cucullin low, Cucullin falls, Ratatosker 1 HP but no mana onto Thor, but Hachiman dashes down, Thor is literally just right next to him. Great stun there from Asinus, and now Wingman Ghost falls. Now it's a 1v4 at the moment. Sorry, a 3v1 at the moment over there. Ishtar pelting arrows flying off like crazy. Thor again, no mana, no HP, trying to teleport away, but Drunk Diplomat gets the kill onto Koopa, and that's just at that point it was a 3-for-1 in the fight.
Yeah, and that really goes to show the power of the Fafnir stun. Like, that dragon stun is just so long, just locking people in for prolonged periods, and it really kind of broke up what was a great beginning of the fight for the King's Court, just broken up by really quality work from Asinus there.
At the moment, the Kappa Corporation are playing to their strengths here. Ratatosker has been almost 100% kill participation at the moment, and that's great for the team here. Koopa has been trying to catch up, match the pressure that this jungler has been showing, but I'll be honest, Aztec 4-0-2. That's crazy at the moment. Like, it feels like they are not doing as much, but it's their value is in the farm and the gold that they're getting.
Yeah, and by virtue of them going this quad physical lineup, Aztec can kind of afford to not itemize into anything magical, kind of like last game. So it's going to be all physical items. It might even be a Kins in there, as we've seen so many Bellonas go. Just really putting that character to work. Some pretty decent scrapping going on in this left-hand side between the Ishtar and the Hachiman. I'm kind of wondering what the next big team fight's going to be. They haven't really fought over Gold Fury that much yet, and the only pyro, or the only pyro that's been taken, kind of uncontested. So I would expect them to actually fight over this pretty heavily when teams posture for it.
Right now, the King's Court do have a tower. They're towered down at the moment. However, Ratatosker into the air. Looks like they just want to aggress here. Thor in the air. Ratatosker trying to stall as best as he can. Thor will probably look at him, misses the dunk, or decides to just disengage at the moment. Now, Gold Fury being eyed by the King's Court. Ryu does have the ultimate to stop this interaction here. Hammer dunk just poking out this Fafnir. Eagles rally, but nice ultimate to peel it off here. And Searing Pain, Kappa Corps get the Gold Fury. Now, Cucullin is in the back line here, but also Thor is all the way alone. Johnny Quasar falls. Aztec falls. Solo laners traded. But now the Kappa Corp are actually going for this. Nice ultimate there from Rod. Getting Con Mojo out through the wall now. And the Kappa Corp has to run away now, losing their main source of stuns.
They do have to run away. Johnny Quasar, though, coming in clutch with the knock-up onto Ra to prevent the objective secure. Really clutch there. even though he did die, they did secure gold for it. So
Here, trying to go for Marikoros ult is still available after all that fighting and easy survive. That was a great CC chain by the King's Court. Luckily, Eevee can easily get away and just go back farming. Heartseeker probably gonna be here online soon for Marikoros, so the damage numbers are gonna start pumping up. Ishtar, however, 2 levels down from Drunk Diplomat at the moment. It's just a lack of farming that we're seeing here.
it's a lack of farming. I think it's a little bit a lack of just the bigger objectives. He's probably only down about a level to maybe a level and a third, so it's not insurmountable, but Hachi does have a crit item and Ishtar doesn't. So that DPS is going to be probably pretty dramatically, and I guess it's not too bad in Hachi's favor, but come these team fights, it'll probably be more so. But the standout for damage has far and away been Aztec, just being everywhere in these team fights. Putting that Bellona to the maximum amount of value it can have.
I'm concerned that we're not seeing the execution upgrade from the Ishtar so quickly. Johnny Quasar's shields are something to be worried about, as well as the Thorns mitigation. So getting that healing reduction onto everyone's pretty good. So we'll see. But our Eevee has Bluestone Pendant completely upgraded now. Ra is still 1 level behind. However, he probably does have enough soon for alternate timeline. So we'll see how this goes. Reaper and Dunk Diplomat in the dual lane, trying to scrap out for this T1 tower, but it's just free gold here. But speaking of free gold, Bellona being the next target in the eyes of the team, but Eagles rallies away.
Eagles rallies away. The likelihood of them finishing that kill seems fairly low, given how much physical defense Bellona's stacked. But they're actually looking to try and get a pick here before they're actually pressuring the objective, which I think is smart. They know that the secure advantage, at least on paper, should favor the King's Court. Raw ult just off the mark there, but very divided team fight.
Rat ultimate to towards the Ishtar one. Hachi did dash in, but Ratatusker lands onto Ishtar. Ishtar falls. Marty gets the confirm. Rat is 1 HP. The Thorns doing his job there, but Bellona is just getting melted over there in the backline. Marikoros is 1 HP. Can he survive? He just needs to just run away. Kuzembo doing his best here. Ra in a weird position here. Eevee gets the wingman ghost, but Reyu is just literally stuck in a rock and a hard place. And at the moment here, Kappa Corp gets a nice 3-for-1.
Yeah, that was... I wonder where the breakdown here is specifically, because I feel like they can't afford to leave Ishtar on her own. But
Speaking of being alone, the Ra here, Syrian Knight goes off, clips everyone, but just not enough damage.
No, not enough damage. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the logic was for Ra sticking around, and Thor can't stick around either. Otherwise, that's an easy cleanup for Marty. It just feels like they're kind of letting the game get a little bit out of hand here with some of these play calls. I think they really need to... the past games, they've been relying on Reaper for this backline damage to be consistent, and they can't do that with how separated Wingman has been getting from his backline. So I think that's probably an adjustment that they'll need to make as this game goes on. But Marty is going to be able to secure that beacon, and starting the siege on the next wave of towers.
I want to see more from Aztec and Koopa synergizing, because Aztec is playing like if he was Nike and being almost this unkillable target, but he isn't anymore. And we saw that, like, he just went onto 4 people and just dies because he uses his ult aggressively, but acts as animosity online. So damage numbers are gonna start ranking up here.
Yes, they will. I am interested to see what his last item ends up being, because he could go a bunch of different ways here. He could shoot for that Kins that we saw in the last game for Johnny. He could shoot for a mid Guardian here, which would also be great. A lot of options available for him. Could we get a look at wards placed? Because I feel like this is also gonna tell part of the story. I feel like there's such a huge disparity in the warding numbers here as we see the Rat ult come out, and onto the Raw, who's forced to Bees Aegis.
speaking of that, the combination of ultimate stuns going everywhere, a chaos is occurring here. Ishtar and Thor just trying to run away, but Kanmojo does fall. 1-for-1 goes off. Kuzembo doing the best they can, but Kokolin, you can't tank those Ishtar autos. Kuzembo falls as well. 2-for-1 supports are down here. Eagle's rally is offline. Thor doing the best of stuff. Egg is being used here. Trying to do enough damage here. Can he teleport just out of range? And he can. Ishtar. But of course, unfortunately, the Bluestone take damage, or just Kokolin just walking in just confirms the pick on this, and that's a free Fire Giant for the Kappa Corp.
Yeah, just another one of these team fights where, unfortunately, Raw gets picked off really early, so they don't really get the advantage of the sustain or the objective secure. Aztec's gonna do his best here, but I don't think he really has the damage or presence unless... Oh my goodness, he gets it with a bludgeon. Incredible. Now he might still die, but he is gonna delay it. And Ishtar is the only one that ends up with the fire after all of that. Incredible work from Aztec. Just putting his body on the line for the team. And with that, that kind of has slowed. There was a huge amount of action, and now we've kind of resumed our pre-war positions as we go back to farming. If you're Kappa Corporation, I don't quite know what the adjustment you need to make is. I guess I would probably rush for an early gold at this point, or gold right now, because there's nothing the King's Court can really do to contest you.
No, and this is back to the conversation that we had in game 2 is you're farmed up. You have an upgrade over basically almost every single character in the game here, and you're just staring at them. Sometimes you have to do this place, initiate, force stuff around. You have incredible ward coverage around the whole map. You know where almost every single player is. Go for this place, push his objectives. Now, eyeing at this T2 here, there's 2 players ready to defend this, but Ishtar could have probably forced a Fire Giant steal if the other team stayed. Pyromancer, that's probably a call out, but they're hunting for wabbits in that bush over there. Waiting for someone to step up so they can confirm a pick on them.
Very much so. They've really, throughout both of these games, they've made expert use of the bushes. Huge ult coming in from Aztec, gonna get a couple. Marty forced to ult very quickly, and Thor ult coming in.
Rats in the air, good peel, but Syrian Light gets the rat here. Kuzembo trying to survive, but it's not enough. However, no frontline is available at the moment. So low HP bars everywhere. The King's Court are just trying to fight for their lives at the moment here, with at least Fire Giant onto Reaper.
They are indeed, and with Aztec being able to TP back in almost immediately, that's gonna kind of forestall a lot of the things that they could do here. But just look at all of the relics that got consumed on the side of Kappa Corporation that fight. We've got beads down for pretty much every character, and yeah, that's incredible. I think the next time that they fight, there's going to be a lot quicker kills as teams have to deal with not having CC immunity.
The Kappa Corp just has to stall for basically a whole minute and even more to get everyone's beads and relics ready for this next fight. And that's a big issue. You want to make sure that in this high CC comp that everyone's prepared to be able to tank this Thor dunk, this Raw ultimate. Right now, they're fighting for a beacon. I question this as Thor is in the air. Nice dunk onto the Kokolin. Hachiman stun wall here. And again, Poke Bow is just going crazy. Rat and Martycore are coming in. Nice knockup from Kokolin. Hachiman is just W King here. He does not care. Thor has to beads. Nice stun there from Ishtar to peel off. Bologna trying their best to run away. Eagle's Rally is still available to survive here. Kuzembo is just being annoying. Bologna jumps in here. Martycore is being knocked out. He cannot go into the air.
Huge
and Eevee
kill.
falls. Reaper gets a shutdown. Kuzembo trying to survive here. Kokolin is 1 HP, cannot continue the fight here. And now the King's Court get a massive pick there onto Eevee. And this is what they needed to get back into the game.
Absolutely. They're capitalizing on the lack of beads, and they take out one of the best damage sources that the Kappa Corporation has. And now Aztec has that persistent teleport up again, able to get back in and just apply more pressure. And they should be able to secure this beacon and get some more tower damage in.
I'm liking
Huge for
here
them.
Reaper. Reaper getting the shutdown on that extra gold that he needs to get this Deathbringer online is gonna be so important here. Raw alternate timeline is online with breastplate and a spear of Deso. This Raw is super tanky.
Yes, super tanky. Also, very much needs to be. A lot of attention has been paid this Raw's way this game. Now, Marty has since respawned, and we see beads start to come off of timers again. So I would suspect that the next big fight we're going to see is over this EFG, or possibly even over the Pyro if teams aren't feeling generous.
Now let's see how this is gonna shape up at the moment. Almost full builds for the King's Courts. I'm liking the setup here. Thor is taking unnecessary poke damage at the moment. He's completely alone. His team is not ready for this fight. No, you're missing two. You're missing both of your frontliners. He can easily come back into the fight, but the positioning, I'm liking it. The great place of the bushes. They're just using it perfectly to just hide behind the walls. Nice corners and get a nice pick here. Pyromancer comes up. The Kappa Corp melting it with double ADC at the moment.
Yep,
What
melting
I want to
it.
ask you here, Energy,
Mhm.
what can the King's Court do besides, of course, Thor dunking into the backline to just change the title of this game?
You know, aside from a well-placed Thor, I'm really looking for Aztec to get in early and get a huge disarm off and kind of force pressure that way. I don't need to see an Eagles rally, but I do want to see some solo initiated pressure. Having said that, they are going to commit a lot onto this Kuzenbo. Get him to just below half, it looks like. Now, it's worth noting, Aztec has finished the Kins, which means he's going to be getting that double proc between the Animosity Axe and the Kins Blades. Kins size, excuse me.
That makes it
They're
just
committing
squishy,
a
but
lot again.
W King by the front line here, Thor can get out. Ratatoskr into the air to charge chase down here. Now Bellona with Eagles Rally still online. Ups down to 5 of them. Searing Pain doesn't hit anyone unfortunately. And Bellona dies all alone here. While the Kappa Corp is so healthy now. It's the free EFG at the moment with no steal. There's no ultimate in the game at the moment that can steal this Fire Giant.
No, there isn't. And that was... I hate to sound like a broken record, but this is such a divided team fight to take. I don't understand what the spacing was there. I feel like Bellona probably needed to back off there if they weren't going to come up to support her. And it looks like now Kappa's either going to back for pots and relics and whatnot, or they're just going to go gold and try to push this left lane some more. It does look like it's going to be gold first.
Can I see the damage numbers real quick?
Yeah, that would be good to see.
Right now, look, Marty Chorus is just chunking so much at the moment. I wish Thor could be doing some more damage numbers at the moment, but it's just so hard for both of these junglers to just get into the back and try without getting blown up.
It is. I mean, and the numbers for both junglers are certainly on the lower side, with the ADCs and solos kind of rounding out the top. I really would like to see some more raw damage as well. I feel like we have yet to see, like, we've seen maybe one, like, good game-changing raw snipe, and we need to be seeing more of those for King's Court to have better presence in these fights. But we are going to see this grouping left side here, which is the sensible one to start with. They've got one Pyro Bomb to work with. Pretty much full builds across the board except for the Fafnir. And I feel like if you're King's Court, you got to give up this T2.
They might be thinking of trying to contest some of these and at least try to poke the best that they can. But it's just so hard to get to lock down one character like this. That's what the King's Court comp is designed to. Get a pick onto someone, lock them down and eliminate them, but it feels almost impossible because half of the players here are basically go a second time of life. Fafnir can just ult to immune all the damage. Eevee can go into the air and just survive the pelt, Johnny Quasar's transformation, King's Court has to find a way to just peel everything off.
They do. So I think what this is going to come down to then is how successful they are at defending these phoenixes. With all the towers cleared out, there's really nothing else for Kappa Corporation to do except to start sieging. And it does look like it's going to be a little bit of a split push with the Thor hammer being off the mark there. But man, Raw has just taken some poke really early on. Marty being able to throw things out over the walls is huge.
Right in the air, I think Ishtar at the moment lands to peel against Aztec. Aztec is half HP. The bird does fall. Johnny Quasar falls. However, there's still low HP bars. Kuzembo, Warrior Grave to just try to get out here, but Archon Eevee confirms the pick there. Stun for Baratoska here, but Ishtar can easily just beats it to run away at the moment. And second bird is being looked at. Hachiman doing the best he can, getting disarmed, trying to melt this here. They're trying to do the best they can to survive to this bird here, but I don't think it's enough here. Bellona is getting melted here by the double AC. Fafnir 1 HP. Fafnir falls by the bird. Searing Pain hits the Hachiman, but again, not enough damage. And it's the conversation here, like, Breastplate makes you tanky, makes you survive, but is that damage even worth it then at that point?
I have to wonder if he wouldn't be getting more out of like having a divine rune or even just more raw power, even if there's no pen on it. Because at this point, they're not really relying on raw for much of anything, so you may as well like go big or go home sort of thing. Now, having said all of that was technically a trade in their favor, with it being a 2-for-1, even though they did lose 2 Phoenixes, so it's probably a wash or favoring Kappa Corp. But not a bad defense. It does look like Bellona has finally gotten the gold to be able to upgrade Executioner, which should help quite a bit as these fights continue.
The upgrades are good and all, but again, this Bellona build, I think it's not the best approach at this point. Yes, it's double ADC, but you're just gonna get melted because you're too squishy. You have a mystical male, you have a phalanx. At that point, you should probably sell the phalanx and get a Midgardian male.
Absolutely.
Get something that stops these ADCs from just pelting you, because at the time you're just eagle rallying away, or if you eagles rally, then you're just falling down.
You read my mind. That's exactly what I wanted to say. I would really rather see that. I think that the time for how good Phalanx is kind of passed. Probably passed about 15 minutes ago.
But speaking of good, this Thor hammer could be massive here, but Ratatoskir low HP here. However, Warrior Grave confirms the pick. Marty Chorus, no ultimate. Kuzembo can easily solo this guy if it's possible here. Hachiman on the runaway. Bellona doing the best to chase down here. But Marty, you face the boss here. Aztec trying to go in. Wingman Ghost falls. Drunk Luna falls and Aztec falls here. A 2-for-3 here, and possibly here Fafnir is gonna fall if Ryu can catch up to him with his movement speed. That's incredible there. Oh, a great stun there. Can he leap away is the question. And Fafnir survives and runs away. Ishtar is forced to back to peel off the fire minions from the Titan. I'm loving right now how the Kappa Corporation are just fighting to nails, trying to get to the end here.
Yeah, that started off like sort of okay for King's Court. I think they kind of lost sight of the ball a little bit in terms of who they needed to prioritize. I think this was again another example of maybe Kuzenboth being a little bit too far forward, maybe focusing a little bit too much. And Aztec dived really deep to pick up that kill. I'm not sure he needed to do that either. Unfortunately, it does look like this is going to be a largely uncontested FG unless we get a really, really quick Thor ult in here. But otherwise, it's just going to go their way.
Thor is in the air. It's actually healing. It's low HP here. The King's Court steal the Fire Giant, and they run away with it. Rat in the air, trying to chase down the Ishtar. Ishtar has no ultimate to survive here. Redix being used, beats Aegis, but she falls here. Thor hammers in to try to get someone, but he just gets stuck in his own wall. 2 down, 3 with EFG here, but it's the full team rotation at the moment. Hachiman is on his way down, but the bird falls down to the fire minions. Now, in the middle here, Fafnir trying to be annoying. He's actually half HP here.
Oh
The
man, this
Kappa
is
Corporation is looking to end at the moment, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Because the King's Court is full HP. EFG can easily just tank everything at the moment here. Fafnir is at a weird spot. Ra is alive. Regu does have serious pain. Maybe now it could one-shot someone. Aztec
Ooh.
does fall in the middle of the air. The bluestone ticks. And it's all up to the Kusembo and Ra. Ra ultimate misses the mark here. Fafnir low at Ra doing the best he can to try to get something here. Alternate timeline goes off and the Titan does fall here. And the Kappa Corporation take game 3 and wins the set 2-1.
Wow. Honestly, good props to Kappa Corporation for sticking with it after a pretty rough first game. Man, what a great way to open the season, though, right? Like a three game back and forth contentious match. You gotta love that for the content.
I love this set. It was a complete back and forth. The King's Court had a great identity, but it just fell flat. Eevee on his Marty Chorus was just a threat. 50k damage, and this is what I hate about Marty Chorus. Like, I feel like he was doing damage, but it's not like old Marty. It was more that he was in the air and nothing can hit him. And he was just pelting people with so much damage. Asinus played amazingly on this Fafnir. Almost never dying, out mitigating everyone in the lobby. And Johnny Quasar, as I don't want to be mean about it, he was just a body, but that body was just enough to force people to not look at his teammates.
Absolutely. I gotta give special commendation to Asinus here for cracking the 40 wards placed per game mark, which is always a fun milestone to see, but also 6-digit damage mitigated. You really can't ask for much better support play than that. Everybody on the side of Koopa's here. Kappa's here. God, I keep doing that. Kappa. Everybody came to play this last game, even if the solo and jungle was a little bit rougher. Drunk Diplomat and Asinus played a great game, and obviously we can't say enough good things about this Marty, just dishing out the damage, avoiding damage. And if you're King's Court, you played a really good game. You tried something different in game 2 and it didn't quite work out, but I think there's a lot of good things to take away from this set.
No, and I think the King's Court knows what they can do to improve.
Yeah.
And I think this is it's just week 1. Week 1 is to know your teammates, know your weaknesses and your strength. I think the King's Court just probably have to fix on some of their team fighting. I feel that the fights were very scattered, especially when you give global ultimates to people, that it just felt like it was all over the place. So I think it's not a bad week 1. You can easily come back knowing that you got a 2-1. You didn't get 2-0 swept. Game 2 was, I'll admit it was a bit of troll picking the Charon mid, but it really did show that the King's Court is a team to be reckoned with. And the Kappa corporations are always going to fight back.
Absolutely. Great way to put that. There's a lot of good to be taken here. And as you pointed out, that first week is usually the getting acclimated to the teammates and the new meta. I think I would expect the shot calling to look a lot crisper the next time we see both of these teams play. And yeah, I'm looking forward to week 2 when we see that and when these teams inevitably face again.
I'm excited to see that. So I've been Brokosaurd with Energy as my co-caster and Crouton in production. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day, guys. See you all next weekend.